Woke up early in the morning, scrolling on my phone. Open up TikTok, see my man Rico knows. He's talking college football, all the spreads and all the trends. Say you wanna win money, listen to me, man. I tell my lady, go make me a bagel. I gotta listen to what Rico gotta say, though. He got the numbers and he got the picks, so I gotta listen to my man Rico. I'm just scrolling on my phone, seeing what Rico knows, seeing what he know about the UFC and college football, the prop picks, all the spread picks, the plus money underdogs, all the best picks. Gotta listen to my man Rico, he's a wizard. I told my girl Rico, say listen to the lizard, and we cash it out, all the props. We cash it out, all the props. Listening to Rico, I'm just scrolling on my phone, seeing what he knows, seeing what Rico knows, seeing what Rico knows. I'm just scrolling on my phone, scrolling on my phone, scrolling on my phone. I'm just scrolling on my phone, seeing what Rico knows, seeing what he know about the UFC and college football, the prop picks, all the spread picks, the plus money underdogs, all the best picks.
Oh yeah, shout out to YouTube, man. Shout out to the MVPs for being here. Hey guys, I'm RicoKnows. If you don't know who I am, I pick football games. I pick fights. This is what I do. I'm a college football expert. I know some people might look at me and be like, who the hell anointed this guy? The results, bro. Go look at the results on YouTube. One thing we did in the last 2 years now is we've transitioned to Patreon. Yes, I'm still on YouTube doing things, but how I make a living is Patreon. Shout out to all the MVPs. And you can see all the content over there. I decided to make this video for free. If you aren't aware of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I'm going to explain it to you in this video. You'll see the product, what it is, and there's other episodes you can see on YouTube for free. There's other ones on Patreon you can see for free. You can get previews to most of the things, but by and large, this is for the MVP. This is for my group of gamblers. There's thousands of them. They need the information so they can become more informed on who they're betting on or who they think is going to win a game or a conference or whatever it is. And we get it right a lot more than you would imagine, way more than anybody on TV, way more than anybody else making predictions on Twitter or TikTok or any other platform. It's just, it's worth the squeeze if you're out there. Now, I understand there's going to be some naysayers. We're not here to convince you to join us, man. I don't need more numbers. Just doing this for transparency, for accuracy, and for the I told you so when we're done, because we do a whole lot of I was right videos after the fact. So here's what I did. I'm on this journey where before every football season, I analyze every single starter, every single backup, and their backup. So we go about 3 deep in every position group, and I do this for every team in America. So what you have in front of you is, to the right here, is the projected starting lineup for every team in America. Now, I go to our lad's website. I wanted to let you know right now, there are tons of errors in here. It's not accurate. The schools will lie and not put out the right depth chart. A lot of things go right or wrong. So what you have to do is talk to players, talk to coaches, talk to insiders, recruiters, whatever. Read a lot of data from beat writers, spring football updates, and you have to study the rosters. And when you study the rosters, you can identify certain talented players. Now, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for a really long time, identifying talent on teams when other people don't see it. I get it before everyone else. It's called being ahead of the curve. I get out there and I say, hey, that freshman can play. And it'll be a 3-star guy nobody's ever heard of. I give an example. Last year, Emmett Mosley at Stanford, I said, oh, this guy's going to be amazing. This is not a 3-star player. This is an NFL caliber player, and he'd never played a down of football. This was in the spring. And what do you know? He goes to Stanford. Rico, he's not in the starting lineup. I don't care. Eventually, he gets in the starting lineup and destroys a 19th-ranked Louisville. And now he's at Texas, and he's going to be able to start over all them 5 stars at Texas because the talent doesn't lie. Like, film doesn't lie. So when I do my evaluation, I don't care what any other draft boards say. I don't care what anybody says. I sit down with a clean slate. I sit down and I look at the players in a particular position group, and then I make my charts. And what you see here is the totality of the charts, totality of the notes. Now, typically with you guys, I never show you my database. I never really expose you to it because it's just a lot of little notes on every player. This is how I know their whole journey, that thing. But more importantly, it's just very verbose. And if you don't know what that means, it's a lot of detailed crap that doesn't matter to you, right? I'll know the player's high school, his height and weight, how much weight he's gained, a position change, if you will, his whole transfer history, All that is pertinent to me because I need to know what coaches he used to play under, what was the motivation for the move, why did he stay, a number of things. And I try to dig into that. What you need to understand is that my perspective is not that of a beat writer. My perspective is not that of a homer or a fan. Right now, the Kansas fans are in a tizzy because they just found out I don't think very highly of their wide receiver room. Well, the reality is if you go around and you ask, I saw one guy on Twitter, he tagged 3 beat writers with Kansas, the radio guy from Kansas, the call guy from the radio, all this shit. And I thought, wow, you're just asking all the homers. You're asking everybody in a vacuum. I have no fandom. I'm not in a vacuum. I have no allegiance to any university. And I tell people this all the time. The minute you see a member of the media posing with a coach for a picture and saying, hey guys, it's me with so-and-so, never trust that person from the media in regards to their assessment of that team because they're never going to tell you the truth. Right? Carl Reed with Colorado, next thing you know, they go and hire somebody who Carl Reed advocated for a position. It's their propensity to try to get on the couch in with the coach. I'll give you an example. Yes, there's a head coach, Northern Illinois head coach, Coach Hamburg. He follows me on Twitter, and he writes very glowingly about his players. And in one particular case, I had something to say about his players because I thought it was very true. I think they're amazing, and I identified one of them. And he wrote me back, hey, man, that's awesome. Last night, he writes me and says, Rico, you got our defensive line wrong. I refuse to believe. Yeah, and I just looked at it and I say, hey, man, it is what it is. The assessment is what it is. I don't go through assessments hoping somebody will accept me and someone will like me. Now, I understand. If you're a fan of a particular team and my ratings coincide with yours, then you're going to start screaming out RicoKnows to the world. Oh, my God, RicoKnows. Rico and I agree. Da-da-da-da. Rico. But if we don't agree, if you think your team is so much better than I do, then all of a sudden it's, who's this Rico guy? What are his credentials? I don't know him. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you question my credibility or you agree with it. The results will speak for themselves. Okay? Last year, this time, I was telling everyone to sell their car and bet it all on Indiana. I said they're going 9-0. And I put it in 4K and it's been out there. A young man said, hey, I watched the video back. Not only did you say that, you also said the following things. And he listed out all the different things I got right. Now, there are situations where I can get the analysis wrong. I can get the assessment wrong. It's disheartening, if you will. But it doesn't detract from who you are and what you are, right? Like Steph Curry can miss a three-pointer. You don't get to turn around and say, that guy can't shoot. No, you've seen him make enough threes that you know he can shoot, right? You've seen me make enough correct predictions ahead of everyone else in the world. And I'm saying things other people won't say in the media. I'm saying things nobody's saying. I'm identifying players where I'm just like looking at Army, and I'm like, hey, that guy Kanye Udo, he doesn't belong there. This is last year. I'm looking at teams, and I'm going, I don't know. The whole world, all the talking heads, Pickle, who's that other guy? Pate, all these dudes on Twitter. On 3, 24/7, they hire all these dudes who talk. They're really well manicured, and they go in front of the mic and they speak proper. And I come in and go, yo, that's bullshit. Right? They're telling you last year, I'm really high on Auburn. And I turn around and make a video and say they're a lock to go under 7.5 wins. They won 5 games. I have an assessment for what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, guys. I've been doing this a long time. Yes. Was I ever a football coach? Yep. Was I ever a football player? Yep. None of that matters. The results matter. You could talk to an ex-NFL player. He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to evaluating players. That's why they're not on staff. That's why they're not hired by people to do this. Well, Rico, why aren't you hired? I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well from home, bro. I'm not going to take the pay cut to go work for one university and only impact 30 players. Or, and when I say 30, I'm talking about a recruiting class. Or 130 players on the roster. I'd much rather impact the entirety of college football. So I like where I'm at right now. I like my pocket. I feel good about it. Shout out to you guys. I'm doing this one on a live stream, which I'm not going to do for the others, simply because I want the fans to be here. You guys can interact, get your questions in. Feel free to put it in the chat, interact with me. If you're all at work right now and you missed this live stream, sorry, I can't relate. I'm at work right now. I'm just going to record all day long, but I'm going to do a different episode for every single conference. Okay, so this is just ACC specific in this conference. I'm going to do this one for free. But I'm doing every conference and every video. I did offensive linemen. I did 7.5 hours of live streams for the offensive linemen. 7.5 hours of videos. You can find them on YouTube and Patreon. The difference is it was just so long and it's hard to find the team you wanted to learn about that it just got too long. It's not good. There was an episode for 2 hours, another one for 2 hours, and then the last one was 3.5 hours. It's crazy. So we're just going to have a good time in each conference episode, and we're chilling. I'm sorry for the long conversation and the long explanation. Now let me explain to you guys how this goes with defensive line. Every defensive line is different, and it all depends on your scheme. You'll see up here, our lads takes a stab at it. They'll tell you a particular team, like this is Boston College. They say they run a 4-2-5 defense. You'll know this by the coaching staff or by the personnel or the players. So they run a 4-2-5 defense. I'll explain that in a few. Then there's a 2-4-5. I don't know what that is. I don't think this is real. I can't get down with that. I don't even understand this concept here. So we won't even acknowledge that. 4-3 or a 4-2-5 defense, things of this nature. So the way it works is when you have defensive linemen in a 3-man front, that's a nose tackle over the center. We're going to call it a 0 technique to a 3 technique. If you aren't aware of holes techniques, I don't want to get into it because maybe you're not a football player or a coach, and that doesn't really matter to you. But I can just tell you that when we say 0 to 3, we're referring to the different shades over the center. You're either head on, that's a 0, then you can go 1, 3, all the way out to the 3s, and then there's 4s. Those are guards on the inside of the tackles. You'll hear 4I, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. And we get a little tricky with the numbering when we get to the tight end. Doesn't matter. Listen to me. When you're looking at a 3-4 defense, your nose tackle is going to be huge. He's going to anchor down and control gaps and try to control 2 running lanes, if you will. Keep the linebackers free, things of this nature. Your defensive ends will be much bigger than the edge rushers in a 4-3 defense. So 4 down linemen versus 3 down linemen. The 4 down linemen, those edge rushers can be a little thinned out and a little bigger. When you run a 3-4 defense, the edge rushers are 270 pounds plus, sometimes even 300 pounds. So 270 or bigger, and you want 300s in the middle. When I say in the middle, a nose tackle, you want it like 320 if you're running a 3-4 defense. You want them huge. True story. Now, there's a trend in college football with the transfer portal. What all these teams went out and did this offseason is very noticeable. They went out and got as many 300-pounders as they could, and they don't care where they got them from. I think there's a conversation happening with head coaches and directors of player personnel, DPPs. They're out, and their whole task and mission is to find me more 300-pound defensive linemen. If you ever study the end-of-season box score, I'm not talking about football box score of one game. At the end of the season, I want you to go look at how many different players made tackles. And what you will see is an insane amount of players. Now, some of them will be special teams-oriented tackles, so you have to go watch the film and find out how did that player get involved. But the reality is in college football, your second string matters more than you think. In college football, everybody plays. It's a rotational thing. So it doesn't matter who it is, star player, he's gonna be rotated out for a series every other series. So there is an essential way of playing where you have to find out what are teams' rotations. And there's going to be like a wave of players that come in. I know you're all thinking, oh, you mean like goal line and 3rd and short and we bring out the big hogs and the big... No. I'm talking about you were in this series and you're not out there the next series. Have you guys ever done... Some of you guys are on prop bets of some sort, and you're trying to find a receiver or a running back, and you're trying to get his over yards, and you're waiting for him to come in the game, and he's not in the game. And you're wondering why not. Because they're rotating their players. Because it's not his turn for that particular series. And we won't see him again until the next series. It's the same way on defense. But you don't realize it. You don't recognize it because players on defense, they don't get tackles every play. There's no yards to track. There might be a guy out there who just collapses the pocket, pressures the quarterback, forces him to roll out, and doesn't get anything on the stat sheet. But it's important. And the reality is if your 320-pound starting defensive tackle comes off the field and is replaced by a 280-pound backup, there's a huge difference there, a 60-pound difference, if you will. And now we can go and push forward. And teams know when there are substitutions and who comes in next. So what they went out and did was they said, we need to get 3 deep of 300-pounders up front. We just need them from anywhere. Go find them. Whether they played or not doesn't matter. And you will see guys who in their entire career have never started a game, but they are valued, they are essential, and they're in the rotation. And they'll finish the season with 6 sacks, 30 tackles, and they're not even the starter. But they're extremely effective because they rotate in and you get that fresh pass rush again. And this is why you see teams stacking 3, 4, 5 transfers at a particular position group when you would think, oh, the starter's already confirmed. They already know who it is. Why is that guy going there to be a backup? It's because you actually need the depth, and it matters a hell of a lot more on defense than you would imagine. Now, the only positions that aren't rotating are offensive line and quarterback. So we can evaluate the starting units of offensive line and quarterback very well. I will say that injuries impact the offensive line a hell of a lot more than you think, so the backups do matter. But it's not quite like rotating every game to get other guys reps in. That's not how it works, okay? So defensive line is a different beast. So for that reason, I went ahead and went 3 deep on every single defensive line. And more importantly, I started to explain, or I'll go over it, how nose tackles are so much bigger than the defensive tackle in this particular defense that you're going to look at here in a 4-2-5. But the ends are equivalent. These guys are pass rushers. They're going to go get it. They're the fancy names, the big guys. Now, you guys see the numbers here. It's on a scale from 1 to 10. I want you to know, though, that has nothing to do with the final number or the total number for the team. It has something to do with it, but it's not equivalent. Like a 10 at defensive tackle is not the same as a 10 at defensive end. They're weighted differently. So one position is more important than the other. You've got a hell of a lot more impact from a defensive end versus a defensive tackle. If you have a marquee defensive end, I'm talking about NFL caliber, first-round draft pick defensive end, that is way more valuable than having a 330-pound defensive tackle up front. Although you need it, I'm just saying there's more impact from the edge. It's the same thing like having a NFL quarterback. He can cover up a lot of the issues of the other players who aren't very good. But if you have a star wide receiver, that doesn't really do you much if you don't have the quarterback that can get him the ball. You don't have the line that can block for him. A number of things have to happen in football for a guy to catch a pass. Think about it. Good blocking up front, a nice drop back, a good throw. Just too many dynamics to get the ball to that wide receiver who's amazing. It's not quite as impactful as if you had a dual threat quarterback who's amazing, right? I just wanted to explain that. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. Enough of this. Let's get to talking. Let's start talking about these teams. By the way, get your questions in. I will get to you. Shout out to 4 Intelligence Gamers. He says Rico is the GOAT. I appreciate you, man. If you're watching on TikTok, move over to YouTube. I won't be taking any of your chat questions. I won't even read them during the show. Go to YouTube, click the live tab, watch the live stream. Here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about Boston College. First thing I want to tell you guys is I cut my notes down for this show. I usually don't have notes. I do everything off memory, off the top of the dome, and I talk about the players. But because I did this at least 3 deep, sometimes 4 or 5 deep in positions, we're talking about, I don't know, 100, let's go 130, 125, just for easy math, times 12. Oh, that's not easy math, right? We're talking about thousands of players at this point that I went over for this particular podcast. Or hundreds, I think it's several hundreds, right? And let's see, it is almost impossible for me to memorize all this. So I had to write notes. What I will say is I took the time to watch people's huddle tape, took the time to watch game film, took the time to dig deep about players and go learn what I could if it was warranted. If I saw an issue with starters, I would go look at the incoming freshmen to see if I think they could make an impact in play. Things of that nature, but I just tried to look at who I think is going to be on the field this year. So let's go with it. Boston College, first and foremost, my notes for Boston College. But in this particular show, I'm down to 4,100 words on my notes, by the way. Boston College, first thing I wrote is bargain shopping won't win in the ACC. It's the reality of the situation. They are bargain shopping at the bottom of their depth chart, if you will. They didn't go out and get studs. They didn't go out and get starters. They're just going to go to war with what they got. And that's fine. But it is what it is. So at first, I'm going to start on the inside every single time when I talk about a team. I'm going to go nose tackle all the way down, defensive tackle all the way down, and then the edges, okay? So first, at least I think I am. First guy is Owen Stoudemire, 6'1", 292, a former 3-star. I think he's an effective defensive tackle. He started 2 games last year, and this is important you guys understand this. Only one person could start the game, but he's played in 31 games. So he has a lot of experience, but if somebody says, oh, he only has 2 starts in his life, it's fine. He has 31 games where he's been in the rotation. I'm going to use terms like heavy rotation and light rotation. Heavy rotation means you played a lot, and you were one of those first guys in off the bench and rotating in and out. Light rotation, it was a sparingly thing, longer drives, people got tired. You didn't get a whole lot of burn is what I call it. So he's in the heavy rotation over the last couple of years, and here he comes back to start for them, 6'1", 292. Remember the numbers because they're important. His backup, Quan Williams, 318 pounds. Started 2 games last season. This is a former 4-star, and he's been in the rotation. So once again, they probably feel pretty good about these first 2 spots. They bring in Chris Maribel Jr. He's a Wake Forest transfer. 5 games played last season at Wake Forest. Just the depth and the lateral move. Shout out to Hilton Head. He's a South Carolina product. But what I want to say about that is if you only played 5 games, if you hear 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, bro, that could be on the field goal unit. You're blocking or you're trying to block a field goal. That you don't even get defensive snaps sometimes. So don't get too excited when you hear a guy played 5, 8, 9, 10 games, even 20 games, 30 games. When I tell you they're in the rotation, that means they're on the field defensive snaps. It's important, okay? Sedaris McConnell over here, he's an Illinois transfer. He hit the portal after 3 years. Former 3-star. Shout out to Westlake. He's a Westlake alum. He is 6'3", 280. And he's always been a rotational player. So you'll see the nose tackles are a little bigger, and then there'll be the 280, 270 range for the defensive tackles in this particular front. What I'm going to tell you is this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough to be starting in the ACC. And he's been here a little while now. He's been in the rotation. I don't care. Just not good enough to be in the ACC. Now, if they're not highlighted in yellow, that means they transferred earlier in their career. So when you hear me say they're a transfer, I'm the transfer portal expert. I just know where they came from. So I say that sometimes. I don't even have it written in my notes. I just remember who they are and when they transferred. But I just don't think it's a slam dunk. Feels like an average player. Ty Clemens, rotational guy this season. He was a rotational guy. He'll be another one. And it's fine. But, man, this is the mid. If you've ever seen mid, is that what the kids say? Mid? Yeah, this is mid all day. Chuck Niato, and I'm going to tear up names. I don't know all the names, bro. I remember, I watch games on mute. I don't listen to the TV announcers all that much, and I live stream every game every Saturday. I live stream 12 games every Saturday, 4 games at a time, and then I live stream every weekday game. We probably live stream, I don't want to exaggerate, but 100, 200 games a year, and I have no idea what some of these names are. I say them my own way, and I don't care. So Chuck Nieto, anyways, he's an Elon transfer. Never saw him play, right? Elon, I don't watch FCS football, but he had 11 starts last year. Small school ball. When you see a small school guy coming up and he's 3rd string, he's not 1st string. That's cheap. That's cheap depth, if you will. And this is a very popular thing right now amongst all the Power 4 teams. They got to fill out the back end of their roster. You don't want to put a freshman in here. Freshman is not as physically developed, as physically mature, or effective as a senior from an FCS school. Not a chance in hell. Even if he's a 4-star guy, he's not getting on the field. For the vast majority of them, they're not ready physically to go up here and do this thing. Because you could be a 4-star and you're 260 pounds. And you're a stud in high school. You're not 300 pounds, a grown man, and been doing this on Saturdays. So you go get an Elon transfer, and that's important. It's affordable depth, but it's not like he's an FCS All-American. He's just pretty decent, all right? Mike Bumpus, prime example. Mike Bumpus, number 99, he's a Brown transfer, 271 pounds. He looks light for a defensive tackle is what I wrote. Look, man, if you're a Brown transfer, and no shade to Brown, no shade to the Ivy League, but those guys don't always pan out. They're not always Power 4 caliber, just letting you know. So for that reason right there, Boston College gets a 6.75. You guys see it on the chart. 6.75 for reference, if you weren't aware, the Power 4 teams on average, an average Power 4 team defensive lineman will get you a 7, and that's in any position group. And that goes across the board. If you didn't know, I've already done the running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line. There's episodes for all those. Go watch them. But in this particular case, when you talk about a 7, that's the average team. I believe this defensive tackle group is below average in the Power 4. So they get a 6.75. They're not even average Power 4 players. Now, what is a 6.75 in the reality of things? Well, if these guys were playing at the Group of 5 level, they would be all conference. They would be all conference at the Group of 5 level. So that's why it's a 6.75. All conference at the Group of 5 level is a 6. By and large, all conference caliber players in the Group of 5 are a 6. So even if you're a star, you might get to 7 sometimes, but it's just the reality. I've watched too many all-conference Group of 5 players go to the Power 4, get to practice, and not better than anybody on that roster. I'm serious. Happens every year, and you have to do your best to assess it. So this is a below-average defensive tackle group. Not very good. 6.75. Not anything you want to write home about. Let's get to the defensive ends. We have Quintavious Hutchins. Started 7 games last year. Quintavious Hutchins, he's at the top up here, left end. Started 7 games last year. Looks like a power 4 edge to me. Looks like a real one to me. So that's right where he needs to be. Onye's right behind him. I can't say the last name. I'm sorry. He's a Valpo transfer. Started 3 games and played in 11. He's very cheap depth. And another thing here, when you start seeing guys come up from Valparaiso and they're not superstars or whatever, it's just like, what is this? You didn't even start over there. You weren't all conference. You weren't dominating. Why the hell are you here? Because you're probably 6'4", 270 and a lot more physically developed than anyone else that they have. And you can see this was a concern for them, the depth at this position group. They went out and brought in 3 transfers at this particular position group, and he's risen to the cream of the crop. Now, these projected depth charts are from spring football and from reports from the coaches or the coaching staff or the media. That's fine, but we'll see what the official numbers say, but it just doesn't move me like that. Very cheap depth, obviously. Byerson? What? I have Mackay next. I don't have Clive Wilson. That's crazy. That must have changed since I did it. Remember, I've been doing these for the last week, and everything gets updated over time, so I have Mackay up next. I don't even have Wilson on my chart. So shout out to Clive Wilson. Didn't even evaluate him. How about that? Bryerson's a West Virginia transfer. He didn't play. I said, but he looks like a 3-4 edge rusher. What that means is he's big. Mackay Bryerson's big. As a freshman, he'll probably grow up and become a defensive tackle someday. We say things like this because we come back and check. And whatever I predict, it usually comes true. And then we have Boykin over there. He's a Barton College Division II transfer. Highly productive. Excited to see if he can get on the field. He was very good at Division II. Maybe one day. These are younger guys, freshmen, sophomores, so they're going to take some time. On the other side, I thought we had Griffin over here. Is it Flint? Let me double check that. Oh, yeah, on the other side. Jason Flint, redshirted last season and could develop into a player, but this isn't a starting edge rusher you go into the ACC with to be competitive. Very, very promising young man, redshirt freshman, young, probably a future stud. You can't do this. You just can't. Not if you want to compete for the ACC title. Not if you want to be competitive in the games. It's just not. It's not there. Now, I hope he's good because I think he is. Then we have Josiah Griffin. You guys don't know Josiah Griffin. His brother, Joseph Griffin, he already transferred out. I think he's at Wisconsin. I think he's at Wisconsin. So his brother's not here, but Josiah Griffin's still here, number 9. Good players. You know, he's 6'4", 257. He was a special teamer last season. I'm curious to see if he can take that next step. I really am. Shout out to him. Is Edwin next? Yeah, Edwin Coolidge over here, rotational guy, but mostly special teams. And it's not that often you're going to see defensive ends on special teams unless they're those thinner edge rusher types and edge rusher types. There's other position groups. I'll get into it while we're doing the show if we see them, like Buck and Jack and things like that. And some of these guys are like 220, 240. They're perfect for special teams. They're just outside linebackers who can go down and run and do it. And then the last guy I want to touch on is a guy named Favor Bate. Favor Bate, number 41 over there. He's a Merrimack transfer, 3 stars that went FCS, super cheap depth. Once again, Boston College saved all the money they could. I don't know what they're doing. They don't have a lot of money. And they didn't find anything in the transfer portal of note to me. Nothing. Back end depth, sure, but nobody over here is a future starter. Look, it's a senior who's rotating, graduate trend. Like, nobody's a future starter except for these guys down here that I'm excited about. Mackay Byerson, who might be a defensive tackle someday, and then Boykin, I'm interested. But it's super, super cheap guys that they found. Shout out to them. All right, I will go to the questions right now. Let me go to the questions. After every team, I'll go to questions. This might be a longer show. I don't care. We're having a good time with it, okay? So I'm not in any rush. Sorry about that. I don't have a mic on that page. Let me go back. What can I do? Do this. Sorry about that. Let me do this real quick. I apologize. I'm the only guy. I don't have production. I don't have anybody doing anything. I'm doing it myself. So bear with me. That should work. Okay, we're here now. I apologize. I couldn't see my mic stuff and we weren't talking. So Shout out to the chat. I'll jump to it every single time. I don't really care if there's questions or not, and I'll keep it moving. But nonetheless, Logan Raider says, when's the best time to get on the Patreon? So we do UFC year-round, bro. We do UFC year-round, just like college football is every single Saturday. Fights are every Saturday. I'm better at the UFC than I am at college football. It's easier. It's two people fighting, and I can pick the two of them who's going to win or not. If you don't know, I'm a martial arts expert. Been studying and practicing martial arts my entire life. I'm a former MMA fighter. I'm a former combatives instructor, hand-to-hand combat, the highest level in the Army. I'm a level 4 honor graduate. Shout out to all my students who I taught over the years. And then before I became a TikTok content creator, I was a martial arts instructor for a living at a fight house here in town. It's a little physically exhausting for me. I needed a break, and then I became a content creator. But it's a passion of mine, and I do that well. So we do that year-round. We make a hell of a lot more money doing that than we do anything else. So it's a good time. But college football is obviously far more popular, and you guys all show up at whatever time. So how this works is I drop podcasts all off-season long, and with those come the futures. And if you're into futures, if you want to jump on them, we treat them like tax returns. We put 10 units on some, we put 2 units on some, whatever it is, that's your business, and we just keep it moving from there. And last year, we won a ton of money. We kept the chart going. This year, futures won't come out until I finish linebackers, corners, and safeties, and then we'll get to the futures and figure out who's winning what, who's going to win what conferences, what the records are going to be. The win-loss totals are the big ones. So people get on it whenever you want. I don't really press it. I don't try to sell it. That's your business. We do have a lot of members, so I don't really worry about it. Shout out to them. MVPs are there year-round. There's an annual membership. It's much cheaper, and people just do that the whole year, and then they come back and get their money's worth all year long. So it is what it is. Shout out to you for the question, though. For Intelligence Gamer says now. Shout out to you. Rico the man. Shout out to you, Jake. Appreciate you. And BPR says you'll be sure to get on Patreon. Yeah, man, it is what it is. You guys will remember, we do every single weekday game. I break down an analysis, give you guys the overs, unders, the props, the wins, the losses, everything. And we pick against the spread on every single game in America. We'll tell you whether or not it's a lock, a lean, or a value bet. Should you stay away from it? Should you believe in it? Whatever it is. We do every single thing. And we keep track of all the results. Everything's transparent. We have thousands of members for a reason. I'm not stressing that. This is not a sales pitch, man. I'm not worried about it. All right, let me get back to this. So, shout out to Boston College, looking very, very mid for this season in the defensive front. Now, speaking of mid, here's Cal. Cal's numbers are slightly better than Boston College. You can see it there, 6.75 in defensive tackle group again, and then they got a little bit better on the edge. So let's talk about it. At nose tackle for Cal, we're talking about Andrew Browning, right? Am I tripping right now? Am I looking at Cal? Am I looking at Cal? Am I tripping right now? No. Why did I say Andrew Browning? Oh, Andrew Browning's the defensive line coach. Hey, those are my other notes, bro. I'm so sorry. Those are my other notes. That's not important to you guys. I do study all the coaches. That matters to me. That's funny, man. I'm sorry. You guys have seen how the sausage is made. This is my first episode today. I got to wake up. I got a lot of these to do today. We'll be good. I apologize. So Aiden's over here at nose tackle. Aiden is a Notre Dame transfer. He was at Notre Dame from 2020 to 2023. So 3 years at Notre Dame, lifting weights, getting bigger, stronger, former 4-star player. And then, if you didn't know, he's 6'3", 320 pounds. So that's what you want up front. 6'3", 320, that sounds about right. But he's one of these things where he went to Notre Dame, and it's hard to get in the rotation at Notre Dame. There's so many good players at Notre Dame. So you come to Cal, and I think he's a gift for Cal. I think he's a gem, and I think they have a very good man up front. But he's only one man. And that's why you see the 6.75. Because then when you go to the depth behind him, we're looking at Stanley right behind him. And trust me, bro, there's going to be a lot of Samoan names. Shout out to them. I went to Hawaii for 9 days this summer. We were there on vacation. We went to the PCC, the Polynesian Cultural Center. Amazing place. Please go there. And we learned about all the different cultures. And all I can tell you is I can't pronounce half these names. I got a lot of respect for these men. So I'm just going to call him Stanley. Stanley is 6'2". Listen to his size. 335. Stanley is 335. He's in his 5th year from Hawaii. St. Louis product. Shout out to St. Louis. I'm going to give a couple shout outs to the good high schools for sure. But so he's in 2022, he wasn't on the roster and he didn't play any games, but he was still on the team somehow. This is a rotational guy. When I look at him, he had a huge knee brace on in some of his videos, some of his tape. So I think there might have been an injury there or something like that. But this is a guy who used to be, one of those guys who used to be in the rotation, used to be playing well, and then he just disappeared in 2022. Was it an injury? I don't know. Was he still in school? I don't know, but now he's back. So took a year off. He's here. Just an older dude. Ike behind him. Ike is the transfer, and this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to find answers in your 3 deep. You got to have 3 deep. And Ike is from Houston, 6'3", 280. Sorry if I'm getting too close to the mic. 3-star. I said he could have went to Houston, but the Cal degree gets players. Oh, he's a Houston player. That's right. Ike's an incoming freshman. My bad. Let me get focused here. Ike is the guy who was number 1 on his huddle tape. Let me tell you, when I see a guy wearing number 1 on your huddle tape and you're from high school, I know you're the guy. I know you're the guy because when they're giving out jerseys, they only gave single digits to the studs. Trust me. Dude wore number 1 on his huddle tape. He looked good. But he looks like a defensive end for a 3-4 defense. He looks like he's 270 pounds and he's not a defensive tackle yet. So he's 280, but he's just not quite there. If you have a freshman in your 3 deep, it better be a 5-star, and he's got to be over 300 pounds for me to believe in him. Because then he doesn't look like the rest of the guys. That's real. So they got a guy 280 from Houston, 3-star, just not quite the caliber that you want in your 3 deep for sure. Then we have Tyson Ford. Where's Tyson Ford? Tyson Ford, your left defensive end, another Notre Dame transfer, 6'5", 300 pounds. So we got another 300-pounder up front. Another 300-pound, but he played in 2 games as a freshman at Notre Dame, former 4-star. He hit the transfer portal in October because Notre Dame cut him. And Notre Dame cut a couple of players this way, and they did it very classy, and this is why nobody gets mad at Marcus Freeman, but you should. You guys should understand. These coaches are going to cut players, and it doesn't make news because they do it in October when no one's paying attention. They put this young man, Tyson Ford, they put him on a medical scholarship. Him and a bunch of other players. You know what that really does? That ensures that they did it in September. What they're doing is when you go into the season, the NCAA says you can only have 85 scholarship players. They over-recruit, and then they tell everybody they're in a position battle, and then right before the season starts, they go, "Oh, you, you're on a medical scholarship now. Now you're not even on the team anymore." And that's exactly what happened to Tyson Ford. He was cut at Notre Dame. There's no other way to put it. They put him on a medical scholarship, and he's gone. It's a crafty way of cutting people, and I think it's bullshit. I really do. So he comes over to Cal, just like Tobias Merriweather, the wide receiver. He came to Cal as well. Shout out to him. But Ford got his degree at Notre Dame. He still has 3 years of eligibility left. 3 years. He was over there, and he earned his degree. And he's still got 3 years of eligibility left. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I don't know about this year, but I hope it happens. Then you got Zay Smith coming in. That's a Houston Christian transfer. That's an FCS transfer. It's cool. He's 6'1", 310 pounds. He's built like a defensive tackle. And that's where it's like they're just trying to get 300-pounders on the field. Cal's just trying to get 300-pound guys up there so you can't move them and get into their linebackers. We got to make way. We got to keep this guy, Cade, who I'll talk about in the linebackers episode, and Harrison Taggart. We got to keep these guys clean to make amazing plays because they're incredible linebackers. And the only way to do that is that we have 300-pounders up front, and they're hogging up 2 dudes. And that's their plan. So shout out to them. Zay Smith up here. I don't think these guys are going to make a whole lot of plays, though. I'm telling you. But he is a grown man and a 3-year starter, Zay Smith. Then we have B.J. Kennedy. B.J. Kennedy was not there when I was doing this. I don't know where that comes from. Shout out to LeBron Williams, by the way. I like the name, LeBron. Everybody naming their kids LeBron. Now they're in college. Pretty good stuff. Who am I on next? I think I'm on T.J. Bowlers. T.J. Bowlers on the other side. T.J. Bowlers, Wisconsin transfer from a couple years ago. 6'2", 305 pounds. He had 1 start last season. He was rotational, but he's played in 18 games at Wisconsin. He's not a major contributor when he was at Wisconsin. I can remember when he transferred. It was just like, that's another guy going. It is what it is. Derek Wilkins is right behind him. 6'5", 300 pounds. I'm telling you, they're all 300-pounders. Blocked a field goal last season. So, and then his Legend Journey there? Yeah, Legend Journey rotational guy. Texas kid. I like him. He's fluid. Listen to me. The reason I give Cal this rating the way I do is they're just a bunch of 300-pound fat guys that don't look like they make plays. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just keeping it real. It looks like they went out and intentionally found 300-pound defensive linemen, and these are the guys that you can beat to the edge. You can't kick them out. You can't really do any type of zone blocking. Oh, I guess you can do zone blocking and double team them, but you can't really. It doesn't matter, bro. You just get around them. You get to the edge. This is why that defense can't stop anything. They have no speed up front. They're not winning anything up front. They're waiting for it to They're waiting for their guys at the second level of the defense to make the plays, and what are we doing with that? So Cal's kind of just there in the wind. All right, before I get to Clemson, we'll jump over to chat real quick. Don't expect a whole lot of chat every single time, but if there is a question on a particular team I just covered, I want to answer it. So that's why I go back to the chat over and over and over. So we got Tyson Ford is a Notre Dame transfer. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, BPR. I'm glad we got it out there. Famous Critter says, make sure to tell Miami fans their D-line is worse than Clemson. They'll cry and give you a lot of engagement. I don't do anything for engagement. I do everything for accuracy. We don't make anything for engagement. People who think, first and foremost, the business model is MVPs, not engagement. I don't give a shit how many views this video gets. I don't care how many views I get on anything. Likes, comments, click. You never hear me say that at the beginning of the video. Hey, before we get this video started, make sure you like, comment, and help the algorithm. I don't ever do that because I don't need engagement. Ever. Okay? So that being said, if Clemson's defensive line is better than Miami's, I will gladly tell them. And obviously it is in my assessment. I will gladly tell them. If they start complaining about it, they'll probably get blocked. I won't ever talk to them again because I don't want to hear their shit. My bad, forgot about Aiden. Yeah, shout out to you. What conference will Notre Dame and UConn be in for these? So, for intelligence gamers, what a great question. I do have the answer. Let me show you, okay? UConn and Notre Dame, it'll be in the picture and it'll be in the title. It will be under Mountain West. I can show you here on my chart. The Mountain West and Independence. It will be in the title on the show. They're down here. Now, this is just the offense. Excuse me. Let me scroll over so you can see the defense. So there you go. Notre Dame down here, UConn down here. And then, you can see everything else for team totals and whatnot. So, yeah, I already planned for it. It'll happen later today. That'll be the last episode that I do today. Shout out to you. They'll be in with the Mountain West. I know it sounds weird, but it's because I used to do Mountain West and Independence. This process, this schedule, the way it's broken down, is how I used to do my daily podcast. And for those of you guys who are like, man, this guy's show sucks. You don't have the right graphics. You don't have the right music, the right stuff. Bro, I used to have everything. Just got away from it. The countdown and everything doesn't pay me anything. I'd rather make videos for the MVPs and put them on Patreon and no one else can see them. That's highly advantageous to me and my life. Shout out to Kim and my beautiful life that I live. Shout out to the MVPs. So anyways, back to the questions here. No, that was the last question. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get back to it. So over here, we're looking at Clemson. Clemson, defensive line, you see it, 10.5, the number one defensive line in America. I went beyond 10 for them just because, and I'm going to tell you why, because of continuity. Continuity is important. They're just better than other 10s. They are the 10, though. This is the best team in America by and large. For me, Clemson is the number one team. It is close. There's other teams that are very comparable. If you look here, we have team totals running so far, the running total. Now, you won't see an episode on the totals and me talking about who the best teams are and who's going to win what conference and all that. That's only going to be for MVPs. But I do break down every single team. And if you look right now, the running total, Clemson's at 64.62%. Look down here. Miami's at 61. So they're only 3% behind. It's very good. Those are very good teams compared to the rest of the conference, for sure. As far as, at least in my assessment, up until this point. There's still linebackers, corners, and safeties to do. Okay? That being said, Clemson, TJ Parker. Well, let's start with Peter Woods. Let me start with Peter Woods. I don't even know if I need notes. They're here. It is what it is. First thing is, they went out and got Tom Allen, defense coordinator from Penn State. That's very important, and you guys know that. Clemson has always had talented players. They're just not in the right position to make the right plays, and I think that changes this year. So that's number one. Number two, Peter Woods. First team all ACC in the preseason. He's a shout out to Thompson. He's a Thompson product from Alabama. I can remember the first time I discovered Peter Woods. I was late. He was already a 5-star player, 6'3", 315 pounds. What it was I was looking for more tape on their quarterback, Seaborn, right? I was looking for Seaborn. I was going to do a video on him. He was an 8th grader who won the state title. And I said, okay, I got to go find this kid, Trent Seaborn. I got to find more tape on him. And I went to go look for all the tape I could find. And as I was looking for highlights from the state championship game to put it on a TikTok video, oh my goodness, I saw Peter Woods. And I said, who the hell is that? He looked like a man amongst boys. This whole time, the internet is talking, and they're talking about how Thompson just won a state title. This 8th grader threw 5 touchdowns. He's amazing. Oh my God. All this stuff. And they're making you think that's why they won the state title. And sure, he played great. That's not why they won the state title, bro. They had a dude named Peter Woods, and he was amazing. And I was just dumbfounded. I stopped everything I was doing and said, hey, yo, I got to make a video about this guy. Speaking of amazing, right behind him is Vic Burley. Now, Vic Burley, you might not know who he is. He hasn't played much. Vic Burley is 6'4", 320. And if you're from Georgia, you should know who he is. Now, I live in South Carolina right now. I'm on the border of South Carolina. I own a home in South Carolina and Georgia, and I go to Georgia often. I lived there for the last 10 years, 11 years. And when I'm in Georgia, or because I'm in Georgia for the last decade, I watch a lot of GPB sports, Georgia Public Broadcasting. Sometimes I'll live stream the games. It's on Friday night if there's no college game to live stream, which there usually is nowadays. But at the time frame, I will go ahead and do a GPB sports live stream, and I will do a Georgia high school football game. And if you watch Georgia high school football, Warner Robins is such a power, okay? And Vic Burley was a huge reason why Warner Robins was a power for years. Them going up against Thomas Castellanos at Ware County is some of the greatest games ever. But when you talk about Defense Player of the Year, Vic Burley hasn't started a game, but I'm telling you, he's that guy. I'm telling you how good he is. I know how good he is. He has put on some real size. He wasn't this big in high school. He's 6'4", 320. That's the real deal. So they have a 1-2 punch there that's real. DeMonte Capehart, come on now. Capehart's third team all ACC in the preseason, 6'5", 315. Once again, just 300-pounders everywhere. He was at IMG his senior year. He's really from, I believe, South Carolina. So it is what it is. I don't really like a lot of the IMG products. They don't pan out all the time. A lot of them are whiffs because they're getting all them hype and all them recruiting stars, and they just don't live up to the hype. And then some of them are slam dunks, absolute slam dunks. I just saw a kid, and I don't want to say his name, but he's an IMG offensive lineman. He's committed to USC I think 2 weeks ago. Bro, I went to a 5-star camp for Next Gen. I was the lead scout for the Next Gen 5-star camp in Atlanta. It's called The Show. I was the lead scout last year, and I was invited there, and then I invited my boy, Coach Lightwork from TikTok. I invited him to come with me. Shout out to Q. And I brought him with me, and we were in there interviewing all the players, and then we go out and see all the drills, and we see this guy, and they're like, that's an offensive lineman from IMG, da-da-da-da-da. Bro, I watch him get abused by Tristan Lyles. And that's an App State commit that just decommitted recently from Alabama. I watched him get just manhandled by people out there. I looked at him, and I looked at Kim on the drive home. I said, that guy can't play Power 4 football. He doesn't look like a guy, and he just committed to USC. The people are going to be so confused when it doesn't happen again. He's not going to pan out. He's not good. I watched it. And yes, players can get better, but my assessment of talent is real. And yeah, I watched the 3-star that day, Langston Hogg, dominate everybody. I think he's the best center in America. 3 stars. Nobody was talking to him because there's all the 4- and 5-star kids there. Langston Hogg was the second best player there on the field that day. He just committed to Tulane. Anyways, back to Capehart. Like I said, third team all ACC, slowly getting into rotation more and more each season. He's played in 45 games. 45 games. He has 6 starts. But it's just one of those situations where you're at Clemson, there's elite players up there, and you're working your way into it. And then we have Green right behind him, number 90, 6'4", 290, emerging interior defender. These feel like really good players, those 4 right there. That 4 in that group, 11, 45, 19, and 90. Those are guys you want to go to war with. Feels really, really good. Then you go to the top. TJ Parker. TJ Parker from Phoenix, Alabama, Central, right? Shout out to Central. 6'3", 265. As a true freshman, he started 3 games, 5.5 sacks. Freshman All-American. And then last year, he goes 11 sacks. And they know he's coming. And they're trying to stop him. What's incredible for him is 19.5 tackles for loss. If you get anywhere around 10 tackles for loss, by the way, sacks count as a tackle for loss. But if you get anywhere around 10 tackles for loss, you are extremely effective as a defensive end. Trust. Okay? I do a lot of studying. If you're anywhere around 10, you're good. This guy had 19.5. He's twice as good as anybody else. Like, he's just so amazing. And then the greatest part that people aren't even realizing, TJ Parker forced 6 fumbles last year. Peanut Punch Tillman fumbles. 6 fumbles forced. Incredible stuff. And I was looking at his rankings coming out of high school. These recruiting websites had him in the hundreds. You want to talk about missing? They missed so bad on somebody. You know, I put C.J. Stroud number 3 on my draft board among quarterbacks. And I hear about it every single day. Oh my God, Rico, you said C.J. Stroud sucked. I put him number 3 on my draft board. I missed it by 1 because everybody else I missed it by 2 because everybody else had him at 2. The whole world missed on C.J. Stroud by 1. Not a big deal. You missed by 1. And then I missed by 2 because I had him at 3. Could you imagine missing by hundreds? Hundreds upon hundreds? Yeah. TJ Parker's him. But is he the only one? No, he's not the only one. You see a graduate right behind him, Cade Denoff, 6'5", 260, has 5 starts last season. Quality, mature player. He's a former 4-star. So the depth there is real. The starter is elite. The starter is a first-round draft pick. But the depth is real. You have grown men who've been in college for a very long time. This is the same recipe Ohio State had last year. Just guys who've been in a program for 4, 5, 6 years, coming back for another year, things like that. It's pretty incredible stuff. Then on the other side, they had to go get a transfer in Will Helt. Will Helt is a transfer. He had 5 sacks at Purdue last year. Terrible team, but if you watch Will Helt himself, pretty damn good. He's out of where's he from? Carmel. You guys know the high school Carmel in Indiana or Illinois? Illinois. Where is it? I don't know. Indiana. Carmel, Indiana. Yeah, Carmel, Indiana. I'm sorry, guys. I got a lot of high schools in my head. But nonetheless, if you go and watch tape on Will Helt, I want you to go watch the Illinois and Oregon games. And I did this for a reason. Illinois returns all their offensive linemen. They're all back this year. And I know Oregon has elite offensive line play. So I went and watched Illinois and Oregon. And he dominated both those games. Absolutely embarrassed people, dominated them. So shout out to him. Jaheim Lawson right behind him, 4 starts last season, 366 snaps. I'm going to talk to you guys about that play snaps wise. What is a lot? What is enough? What is good? If you're looking for a defensive player who's not starting, if they're doing over 300 snaps, they're in the deep rotation, meaning they are constantly on the field. 300 is a lot of snaps in a season for somebody who's not starting. Right? Starters typically 500, 600, you think of that or whatever. Like an offensive lineman can get up to 800 snaps on a season because he's not getting rotated out. Defenders, we're looking at 500-ish, and then you're getting rotated out. 300 is really good. 200, less than 100 or 100, around the 100 range, light rotation, not all that much. You got to think about it. There's 12 games in a season. If you're getting 100 snaps, you're getting 10 plays a game. It's not that much of a rotation. But if you're getting 30 plays a game, 300 snaps, yeah, you're really playing. And that's Lawson for you. So they do have a 2 deep there. That's impressive. And then behind them, stud after stud after stud, 4 5-star players if they have to get those other kids in the game. All in all, Clemson, going to be mean up front. They're going to handle their shit. No other questions here. I can see the chat for right now, so I'll just keep it moving. Next, we go to Duke. And for the second time in a position groups video, Duke has thoroughly surprised me. It started with the offensive line. If you go back and watch the offensive line video, I was just pleasantly surprised by Duke. I did not see this coming from Duke, and it's starting to get to this point where you got to respect Duke. I think they put money into their program, and they have players that people don't anticipate them having, and Duke looks very, very good. They look very good, okay? So let's talk about Duke. Right up front, Aaron Hall. This is an all-conference caliber player, team captain, returning starter. He was an honorable mention, I think either in the preseason or last year. Aaron Hall, number 99, 6'4", 290. This is a very good player. And now you're going to hear these defensive linemen are a little smaller because it's not defense, it's not nose tackle. This is a genuine 4-man front. So it's not with a nose tackle over the center. It's going to be your 2 defensive tackles, traditional football, 2 defensive tackles, 2 edge rushers, okay? Just like if you ever run a 4-man front. Shout out to all the Madden players out there. But Aaron Hall is very good, team captain, all-conference caliber player. Behind him is Preston Watson. He's a sophomore. Preston Watson is young, rotational depth. I have no problem with it. I think he's a good player. I do. He's already been on the field before. He's played before. And then the issue here we have is Josiah Green. Josiah Green is a graduate transfer, grown man. Josiah Green is a Dartmouth transfer, 20 starts. And I wrote 2 words, space eater. Okay, he eats up space. He's just there to occupy people. He's not going to make much plays for you. He was first team all Ivy League. Now, to be clear, first team all Ivy League doesn't mean shit to me. I've studied this long enough to know. Ivy League is 8 teams. And if you're one of the top players in the Ivy League, congratulations. There's no playoffs for Ivy League teams. There's no bowl games. They're not doing shit. It's like being all conference in the SWAC. It doesn't really move me. You're not the same as FCS All-Americans. You're not the same as Big Sky or Ohio River Valley. It's not the same, okay? So I'm not with it. But shout out to him. He looks like a big guy. He's back-to-back all Ivy, by the way. He was second team in 2023, first team in 2024. David Anderson. Where is David? Oh, David Anderson is the backup. I thought he would be starting. That's exactly what I wrote. I thought he was starting, and I thought he would be starting. They went out and got a transfer instead, a grown man, because he's still young. And that's what happens. When you see transfers come in, that means the coaches didn't want to go into the season with these guys as your starters. But look, it's all sophomores, man. All the way down the board, they've been recruiting their ass off, and they got a whole team full of these true sophomores that are ready to do the damn thing. Look at the defense. The 2 deep is all true sophomores, and there's 2 in the starting lineup. It's just, I'm telling you, Duke's building something, and I've never been an advocate for Manny Diaz like that. But you have to trust your eyes when you're doing the assessment. You have to. It is what it is. All right, so then I went ahead and gave them an 8.75. You guys got to understand how good Aaron Hall is. Aaron Hall's a 9, but when you have this Josiah Green starting next to you, it kind of drops it down. That's how it is, okay? But an all-conference guy is going to be a 9 for the most part in the Power 4. 10s are first-round draft pick type deals. Anyways, let's go to defensive ends. Vincent Anthony Jr. Now, if you guys aren't aware, you probably don't know this, but Wesley Williams, who's over here, 97, is all-conference everywhere. Wesley Williams is really, 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 really good, okay? Very, very good. Got it. Doesn't matter to me. I got to go with this Vincent Anthony Jr. guy when I watch the tape. Vincent Anthony Jr., multi-year starter, was Rookie of the Year back in 2022. He was like the Freshman of the Year, whatever it was. He started 4 games in 2023, but last year he was voted Most Improved Team Player after last year. They went and voted for him. His teammates did. He did 5 sacks last year. I think Vincent Anthony Jr. is very, very good watching him play. I'm very impressed with him. So as soon as I got to him, I was like, yo, this team's got some players. 3 of these guys are absolute all-conference caliber guys. Wesley Williams, and we're talking about ACC, some of the best edge rushers out there. So I get it. There's other guys that are 10, but these guys are going to do their job. Are they Bane? Are they TJ Parker? No, but they're going to beat the offensive line, whoever they're up against. Whoever you got, they're going to beat those guys. They're not going up against other defensive ends. Remember, these comparisons here, these ratings aren't going up against each other. These numbers are going against the offensive line. Right? These guys are going against an offensive line. They're not going against each other. So it doesn't matter if Clemson has a better defensive line than Miami. It's is your defensive line better than the offensive line on the other team? That's where the comparisons really matter. But I'm telling you, Duke's got a defensive line that's better than a lot of offensive linemen. They're very good. Shout out to him. Let me go back. Oh, by the way, I believe he's a team captain. Might be. Vincent Anthony. I don't know. Tyshawn Reed, number 10. Colquitt County product. Shout out to Colquitt County here in Georgia. Really like him a lot. Young stud. I think he'll be a multi-year starter if he sticks around. I don't know where Tyshawn Reed's going to be going. He is a sophomore. I don't know if he's going to probably go get more money, but he will be a multi-year starter if he sticks at Duke. After Vincent leaves, he's the guy. That's how good he is. Shout out to Tyshawn Reed. And then we have Wesley Williams. Preseason second team All-ACC. 15 starts last year, or in his life, excuse me. Absolute beast. All I have to tell you, Wesley Williams, absolute beast. Okay, and then Kevin O'Connor was in the rotation last season, then got injured and missed the rest of the year. Back to being in the rotation. He can be pretty good. But this is a very good defensive front for Duke. Don't sleep on Duke, I promise you. All right, next team, Florida State. Florida State, a lot of people are worried about Florida State. I would say they fixed a lot of things. I wouldn't worry too much, but they don't really have the marquee pass rushers that you're looking for. I am excited to see what comes of James Williams. We'll talk about it. Darrell Jackson up front. Darrell Jackson, deep nose tackle, number 6 there. He's first team All-ACC in the preseason. 6'5", 337 pounds. If you remember, he's a Miami transfer. He started 12 games last season, and he was honorable mention All-ACC. So you've got him coming back. He got the Bobby Bowden Leadership Award. He's a stud. There's no doubting Darrell Jackson is there. That's why Florida State's looking at a 9 right now. The problem is, why is it not a 10 then, Rico? Well, there's a bunch of other people, and you see a freshman right behind him. Kevin Wynn, 6'2", 334. Remember, we're trying to find 330-something pound linemen to be elite. That's what all the teams are doing. The bigger teams, the better teams, they have 330-pounders. So Florida State went and found one in the high school ranks. He's a 4-star from Georgia. His huddle tape said he was 6'4", 310. Now he's 6'2", 334. He lost 2 inches, and he gained 20 pounds. Sounds like a dating profile. That's fine. Jamori Flagg's right behind him. Flagg's a big boy as well. 6'3", 318. Shout out to Booker T. Washington. Probably a transfer candidate. He looked like he had baby fat. He'll be in the rotation, though. He'll be in the rotation, but I think somebody will pay him a lot of money to come out there and be their 300-pounder and be second on their rotation instead of third. And that's what these kids are chasing. So when you see them jump in the transfer portal and you're like, he didn't even start. He didn't play. It's because coaches are chasing 300-pounders and they'll pay them anything just to get them in their 3-man rotation. J.K. Sampson, he was the 2023 Scout Team Player of the Year. Last season, he played in the final 11 games of the season. So this is a young guy that's coming into his way. I said he played well against Miami. The tape is ugly, but there's so many reasons why. So it's fine. The tape is ugly, meaning I probably didn't like certain aspects of it, but there's a lot of reasons why he's in the starting lineup and why they believe in him. It is what it is. But go watch him against Miami is what I wrote. And sometimes I just take notes while I'm writing, and it's just thoughts. It's just instant thoughts while I jot down my database, right? Daniel Lyons, 6'4", 302. That's the backup there, number 5, behind Sampson. Daniel Lyons is a junior, so he's been around for a while. Great depth, played a ton, and he could start if needed, is what I wrote. Jason Jenkins, Tennessee transfer, 6'6", 276. In the rotation at Tennessee, here he is, third string. It's fine. He's just 276, not quite as big as the other guys, so there'll be a significant notice. You'll see a drop-off when he's on the field and the others are out there. Then we get to Deontay McCray. Deontay McCray, number 8. He's a Western Kentucky transfer. Now, this is a Florida kid, 6'4", 287. And there you go. He's almost 290 pounds. They run a 3-man front. It's a 3-3-5 defense. They run a 3-man front. They want a 300-pounder at edge. So they go and find one. And it's a Western Kentucky kid. 19 starts in Conference USA. Guys, Conference USA players don't translate. Started the final 18 games at Western Kentucky. Cool, bro. Cool. Next thing I'll say about McCray, though, he's got a motor. And I hope it translates. And I hope he goes out there and does his thing. He's got a motor. He always gets to the football. He makes a lot of tackles. That's what I wrote. He beats everyone to the ball. FSU did a great job evaluating the transfer portal because I think he could be a hidden gem. That's what I wrote. Does it always work out? It doesn't. But if he was on Western Kentucky right now, I would only give him a 7. So how can I give him a higher score because he's at Florida State? I'm evaluating talent. That's how I feel. DeMonte Diggs, Youngstown State to South Carolina transfer. He is 6'5", 250. He was at South Carolina. Not South Carolina, Coastal Carolina. He was at Coastal Carolina, 7 starts last season. I think he's affordable depth and a backup. You listen to me. Florida State is starting 2 guys that were at Western Kentucky and Coastal Carolina. That's not the transfers you're looking for. I'm hoping it works out. Then Jaden Jones is a JUCO transfer. He missed last year due to injury, so he didn't play. It is what it is. Now we got James Williams down here. James Williams at the Jack. I'm all about it, man. I'm a big James Williams guy. I'm going to tell you, I didn't know much about him. He's a Iowa Central transfer, a JUCO guy. He was on the bench. He gets to Nebraska. He's 6'6", 260. Here's how I learned about James Williams. I was watching tape on Nebraska for Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson is in the NFL right now, about to be a starter for the Eagles. Everybody laughed at me. I told you Ty Robinson was in my top 10 defensive linemen because I went and watched the tape, and I loved how much I saw from Ty Robinson. So I put Ty Robinson in my top 10. He doesn't get drafted until like the 14th best defensive tackle, maybe 15th. He doesn't, and people start telling me, he's a 4th-round pick. Rico, you're so wrong. Da-da-da-da. He's actually with the Eagles right now and probably going to start on an NFL team based upon my assessment. Well, while I was watching Ty Robinson, he's on the field. Here comes James Williams off the bench. I'm trying to fast forward through plays, and I'd see like a play being made. I'd see a sack, and I go, yo, who got that sack? Let me go back. And it's James Williams. I keep watching the plays. I see another sack because I'm going fast. I'm watching at 2.0 speed, 1.5 speed. Another sack. I go back, check the number. Oh, my God. That's James Williams again. Who is this James Williams guy? He doesn't even start. He's on the bench. But he had 7 sacks last year for Nebraska. I think James Williams is really good. I really do. I like him a lot. So shout out to James Williams. I think this number for Florida State on the edge rushers can get all the way up to 8.5 because of James Williams. We'll see. Remember, these numbers changed. We're going to change these numbers throughout the season. Something a little different from last year, but we're going to do it this year. I like where I'm at with James Williams. For sure. Like him a lot. Enough of that. Amari Williams. Is that who's next? Yeah. Amari Williams, 6'4", 236. Listed as a tight end and a defensive end. I think he's going to play both ways. So shout out to Amari Williams. I think he's going both ways. That means I don't know. I think he was supposed to be tight end because he was a tight end last year. He had a bunch of catches, all this stuff. Final 8 games, he was a tight end. But notice they brought in Markinson. They brought in Randy Pittman. So I got to remember the tight end podcast. They brought in 2 guys that they know and trust. Randy Pittman coming in from UCF with Gus Malzahn, and Markinson coming in from Arizona State, coming back. It's just one of these situations where you got to get on the field. You're a good athlete. We got to find a way for you. And they go and put him over here at Jack now, and he's backing up James Williams. That's cool. Grant Fielder is behind them, and Grant Fielder is depth, no experience, doesn't pop on tape for me. So it is what it is. All in all, not terrible for Florida State. Not terrible for Florida State at all. Okay? Not terrible. Next team, Georgia Tech. Man. Georgia Tech. Like a dating profile, losing height can kill you. And in this particular case, I think it kills Georgia Tech's aspirations to be elite. I like a lot of what Georgia Tech's doing. Their defensive tackle group is pretty solid. Very good, 8.75, comparable to the rest of the conference, as you can see here. Tied for second tied for third with a bunch of teams. But their edge rushers are not what they need to be. Not from what I saw, man. And it sucks. So, and Romello Height, he leaves and he goes to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is paying for it, man. Best money team can buy, right? So we got defensive tackle Matthew Alexander, left defensive tackle. You guys can see it there. He's highlighted. He's a transfer. 6'3", 290, UCF. He only started 5 games in 3 years. But he was elite. If you really watch the tape, you can't start games at UCF at defensive tackle, at nose tackle. They have a guy named Lee Hunter, who, by the way, Lee Hunter, going to Texas Tech as well. So Lee Hunter's been one of the best nose tackles in football for a couple years now. Him, Corleone. There's some guys out there who've been around for years. And Lee Hunter's been a known commodity at UCF. But his backup is Matthew Alexander here. Matthew Alexander's pretty damn good. Just can't be the starter over that guy. It's fine. You're in the rotation. Teams notice you. You're pretty good. So backing up Lee Hunter, not a problem. Shout out to him. He is another Buford product. Shout out to Buford, Georgia. I'm cool with him. His backup is Akilo Stone. Welcome back, bro. Welcome back, Akilo. If you guys don't know who Akilo is, he started his career at Georgia Tech. They needed him back. He's been at Ole Miss for the last 2 years in the rotation. He's a run stuffer, gap controller. Remember, when he went to Ole Miss, I was like, what is he doing? But he wasn't trying to be the starter. He was just trying to be a rotational guy. And now he's back to be a rotational guy at the team he's supposed to be with. Good stuff, man. Shout out to them for getting him back. That's exciting stuff. Then you have Jordan Vanderberg. Jordan Vanderberg right next to Matthew Alexander. Jordan Vanderberg, number 99, all-conference caliber defensive tackle. I like Jordan Vanderberg a lot. He is probably the best defender on the team. He is first team all ACC in the preseason. He is the best defender on the team by and large. And that's how Duke gets his 8.75 rating. Or not Duke. Georgia Tech gets his 8.75 rating. Probably could be 9.25 even. But it's just hard. It's hard to go out there and make that prediction when you look at a guy like Matthew Alexander who hasn't started. Although I believe in him, he hasn't started, so I got to rock with it. But this is the best defender on the team. He's from South Africa, Jordan Vanderberg. Johannesburg, South Africa. But he moved to Georgia when he was 10, but that's where he was born. I wonder if he speaks with an accent, because you're there at 10. You could probably speak with one. 6'3", 300 pounds. Aspires to be a defensive coordinator in the Power 4 someday. I like guys like that. He was first team All-State in high school. Then he went to Iowa Western and had to go JUCO in 2020. Then he was at Penn State for 2 years. We're talking about Jordan Vanderberg. Penn State from 2021 to 2023. And he was voted co-defensive player of the year on the developmental squad back in 2021. It's important. He got a ton of playing time in 23. Teams noticed, and Georgia Tech paid him. Last season, he was second team all-conference. I like everything about him. 7 starts at defensive tackle. He started 7 of the final 8 games last year. If you don't know, Jordan Vanderberg, listen to these numbers. Bench press, 455 pounds. Power clean, 385. And squat, 655. Those are big numbers. Jason Moore behind him, number 95, average power 4 player, older, developed, doesn't pop on tape, but he's a good backup, better than the freshman that they have all out there. It is what it is. Christian Garrett, shout out to Christian Garrett. He hopefully doesn't need to see the field, but he probably will. This is another Prince Avenue Christian transfer or signee. Prince Avenue Christian, private school, 1A school here in Georgia, one of the best, the state champs all the time. Aaron Philo alumni. Just a lot of great players, Bailey Stockton, just a lot of good players coming out of Prince Avenue Christian, and he's one of them, 4-star. He was a 3-year team captain. He is, what was I going to say? His cousin's at Vandy. I forgot his name. Oh, he has a cousin that plays at Vandy. That's right. He has another cousin that won, I think, a gold medal in Tokyo in the 4x1, a female. 2 other cousins played in the NFL, blue chippers. I just think he's great, man. Whole family's athletic. Christian Garrett. Shout out to Prince Avenue Christian. I'm with it. All right, so Georgia Tech, good defensive tackle group. I like it a lot. Let's talk about the edge rushers. Edge rushers for Georgia Tech. A.J. Hoffler was a rotational Clemson transfer. So he was at Clemson, rotational. Now you have him starting for you. We'll see what happens, okay? Woodward Academy. I believe they're reloading at defensive end. Like, he's there, but what else do you have? You have Jordan Boyd next. I wrote, not ready to compete in the ACC with defensive ends like the other 2 deeps. He's young, and he will get better. Andre Fuller is a freshman, Grayson High School product. Shout out to him, a 3-star, but I hope he develops into a gem. So you have a 3-star in your 3 deep. Nah. Just, unless you hit a slam dunk that nobody else knew about, it just doesn't feel right. Jordan Boyd being on the field right there behind Hoffler. Like, you have an entire group over there on the left defensive end side. They've never started a game. All 3 of them. Nobody's ever started a game. That's not the greatest. And you're taking another team's backup. And it's not a team from another conference. It's a team within your conference that you're competing with to win the title. You get what I'm saying? I hope it works out for him. And then we have Triplett. Triplett to K-State. He went to K-State out of high school. Didn't see the field. Then he went to UTSA from 2021 to 2024. And then he was okay at UTSA. And I'm not sure why he's here. And he's starting. He must have beat everybody out. Manley, another transfer. Notice they have 3 transfer edge rushers. They knew that this was a position of need. They were trying to address it. Manley's a Mercer transfer, Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Year, 2nd team All-American. I would expect him to start over somebody like Triplett, and it didn't happen. So I believe Manley was supposed to be the guy, and Triplett beat him out. Look, man, when I go watch UTSA tape, Triplett's not even the best guy on the team. The best edge rusher at UTSA is Jamie Robinson. He's over at, not Jamie, Robinson, West Virginia. Is it Jamie? I apologize. A lot of names in my head. It's Robinson at West Virginia right now, and it's just like, why are we getting players that aren't better than the West Virginia guy? Like, why aren't we doing this? What is this? So Georgia Tech, they could have had a lot of other players, man. They really could have. Shout out to them. Somebody wrote, I don't know who he is. Frodo. So shout out to Frodo Swaggins. I'm going to show you guys something. Frodo Swaggins here wrote, had most productive season as a redshirt junior in 2024 when he tallied 23 tackles. Oh, that's Triplett last season at UTSA. So we'll talk about this, but when you write he or had or anything, please let me know who you're talking about. So yeah, 23 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 4 fumbles, all career highs. That's fine, man. I want to tell you guys, you won't hear me gravitate towards referencing stats all that much. You just won't. I will talk about playing time. I will talk about certain things. And the reason for this, some of the stats, who could you get them against? Like, I could score 100 points on some 6th graders right now. And then I'll just show up to your team and be like, yo, I average 100 points a game. Well, who do you play against? I play against Conference USA. Right, this is why a 1,000-yard rusher in the MAC can't start when he transfers. Shout out to Rashad Amos or Penny or anybody else who leaves the MAC and they can't duplicate what they were doing up there. because you're playing against MAC teams, right? So when people reference like PFF scores, who'd you get it against? Who are your PFF scores scored on? Is it just substandard competition? I don't get down with that. So yeah, it's tough, man. I don't look at it like that. Here's how I look at it. If I look at UTSA, they have 2 edge rushers. One of them was all conference and elite and the player of the year in that conference. First team all conference. And he went to West Virginia. Why couldn't you get him instead of this guy? That's all I'm asking. Get the more talented player off that team. I'm talking about, this is a talent evaluation. That's why you hear me say, oh, that guy's not in the rotation, not ready to start. You don't hear me say, he's 4 stars and he's just waiting to go. Like I say that very rarely, only if it's warranted, and it's not warranted in the situation. So, but I hear you, man. I feel you guys. I appreciate you running down the stats for me. Thank you so much. My notes are typically on assessment of individual players and their talent level. I apologize. Not necessarily, I could tell you, oh, this guy got 13 tackles. Da, da, da. Sometimes I'll say it in disbelief. Something like that. But I feel you. Thank you so much. Appreciate the help, Frodo. All right, so back to the teams. We're at Louisville now. Louisville with a 9 on the defensive ends. They have pretty good edge rushers and pretty good defensive tackles. This is a pretty good group here. They built something together. Louisville's got a nice defensive front. We'll see how the rest of the defense goes, but it's looking pretty decent. So you have Jordan Girard at nose tackle. He's originally an FIU transfer, preseason All-American in Conference USA. Injured to start the season. Then he still played 10 games. That was last year. It is what it is. I think he's just an average starter for me. It's nothing too special. Jerry Lawson coming in, 6'2", 295. Abilene Christian. You know that I went to go watch tape on Jerry Lawson, and he was a running back in high school. 1,600 yards rushing, 29 touchdowns. Shout out to Jerry Lawson. Got a little more juice than other people. A little more juice than everybody else, but he had 7 starts last season. He was first team all-conference. I think he's more productive than other defensive tackles because he can get to the ball. He's one of the very best FCS defensive tackles I saw. Shout out to my boy Bino. Bino's still not at the FBS level. Ed Babino, Stephen F. Austin, but he's still amazing. I look at all these guys. I think Bino would have got paid. I don't know if he graduated or what, but shout out to him. Kendrick Gilbert. Where is Kendrick? Kendrick Gilbert's a transfer back there. Oh, we moved Kendrick Gilbert to 4th string. That's a Kentucky transfer, 6'5", 265. I don't have Xavier Porter on my list. Shout out to Xavier Porter for moving up. But Kendrick Gilbert, Kentucky transfer, 6'5", 265. That's not big enough to play defensive tackle or nose tackle. 6'5", 265? No, sir. No, sir. You need to eat. Get your nutrition right. 265 won't make it, y'all. Renee Conga in the starting lineup at defensive tackle, graduate transfer, originally a Rutgers transfer. He's a Canadian kid. He was also a running back in high school. He was MVP of his basketball team. These are athletic defensive tackles. I'm cool with it. Jerry Lawson, Renee Conga, both of them pretty athletic guys when I go look into them, their athletic background and what they do. Unfortunately for him, he comes across as an uber defensive tackle, but he started 6 games last season. He dominates weaker teams. Renee Conga plays great against the weaker teams. This is on tape last year, watching him at Louisville. Okay. The next guy is Denzel Lowry, his backup. He's a transfer coming in. ODU transfer, started 12 games last season for ODU. He was a beast at ODU. He was a team captain, a multi-year starter. I really like Denzel Lowry. I do. Now, ODU defensive linemen transferring out, it's been a hit or miss. There was a couple that went to Colorado 2 years ago. They were in the initial class for Coach Prime. And then one of them, he's actually starting at Penn State right now. So hopefully he's one of the hits and not the misses. But I like Denzel Lowry as a player and everything about him. Then we get to Wesley Bailey up here, starting defensive end. You see it there. He's a transfer, a senior. This is another Rutgers transfer, Canadian kid, redshirted last season. But before that, he was a 2-year starter at Rutgers. So some guys will see somebody redshirt and they think they're getting redshirted for whatever. No, they're saving their eligibility to go to a bigger, better program and go get after it. He's a very effective. He's reliable. I think he's a great transfer portal addition for Louisville. 6'5", 265, by the way. Wesley Bailey. Micah Carter. If you ever see me look off and just start yelling out numbers, because it hits me like a fucking, like a Rolodex. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, that guy's 6'5", 2. It's just boom. Micah Carter, number 92 here. He's 6'6", 255. Shout out to him. But Micah Carter is hasn't played yet. but he looks like a player. I'm going to say this. Coaches took 2 transfers in his spot, and he's beating out Justin Beatles. They knew they couldn't go into the season with Michael Carter as their only guy to go be in the starting lineup. He's never played. So they went to the transfer portal, and they had to find answers at that edge rusher position, and they found it. And that's important. People understand that. You got to evaluate it this way. If you see a guy sitting here, a redshirt sophomore, and they go, nope, we're bringing in singers, experienced dudes, and he still beats one out, that's good for him. But they had to go and do that because they need to put more maturity in the room. They need to find guys that can teach them how to work out, prepare for games, all that stuff. Shout out to them. I'm cool with it. Justin Beatles, where are we at? Oh, by the way. Yeah, Justin Beatles, New Mexico transfer. Shout out to Sandy Creek. I believe he's from Sandy Creek, Georgia, if I remember correctly. But he's a New Mexico transfer. He's 6'5", 270. He started one game. He's older, cheaper depth. Cheaper depth. New Mexico transfer, not a chance to start at all. It's just cheaper depth. And then we got our boy, Lubin. Lubin over here, the Leo, number 50. Another transfer coming over from Coastal Carolina. 9.5 sacks last year. What a stud. Coastal Carolina's going to miss him, and they have a good defensive line group, just so you know. 6'3", 250. In 2023, he was at Iowa Western, and he was a first-team JUCO All-American. But what people don't know, he started at Army back in 2022. All right, 2022, he was at Army. Then he redshirted there, and then he redshirted, and then he went to the JUCO route and all that stuff. Here's the deal, though. And he's from a New York kid. In New York, I go and look it up. He was the 2-time player of the year in basketball. He averaged 21 points a game. He rushed for 1,000 yards. He was great. He's an athlete. Lubin is him. His backup is A.J. Green. Well, they call it Adonai J. Green. I don't know that. Adonai J. Green. I just learned that right now, bro. That's crazy. His name is A.J. A.J. Green, Cedar Grove product. Shout out to Georgia. 3A, dominant. If you don't know the Saints, I can't mess with you. Cedar Grove is the real deal. Baby blue team, they've beaten everybody's ass. Shout out to them. He is 6'6", 250. I just hope he gets more playing time. Shout out to AJ. He's great. CJ Mays behind him, a freshman, 4 stars from Highland, Alabama. He's also 6'4", 250-ish. So that's them. I like the group, man. I like the group a lot. Hoping AJ gets in the rotation and gets out there. Louisville 9 or whatever. Now we get to Miami. Bienvenido a Miami. Miami's up in this joint. Hey, by the way, that new Pitbull song, the country song, trash, bro. Trash. Pitbull, which some dude named Trit. Oh, man. I can't stand that shit. I'm just letting you know. Kim sent it to me. She's like, I love this song. Shut up. All right. Shout out to the beautiful Kim Jones, my significant other. She makes everything possible. Without you, nothing is possible. Like I'm doing a prayer of some sort. I want to thank Jesus and Kim. All right. So let's go look at who we have. Who's next? Miami. Nose tackle. Ahmed Morton, right? Ahmed Morton, number 99. 6'3", 4 stars, 3 starts last year, 13 games played. Played in every single game, been in the rotation. He's good, man. It's a good thing when you see a guy like that starting over David Blay. Like, David Blay is him. David Blay hits the transfer portal, comes over to Miami, and David Blay's not starting for you? Whoa, you got a hell of a 1-2 punch. Shout out to David Blay, 3rd team All-ACC in the preseason, and he's not even starting. They put him 3rd team All-ACC in the preseason, and he doesn't even start. He's so good. If you don't know, he started his career at Westchester. Who knows Westchester? Westchester's a Division II school, if you weren't aware. So he started his career at Westchester. Then he went to La Tech for 2 years. He's Conference USA first team. Beast of a man. 6.5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. Here's what really matters. If you watch La Tech's games down the stretch, towards the end of the season, Blay got 5 sacks in the last 6 games. Seriously, he's a beast. Shout out to him. Antavius Jones. Where's Antavius? Oh, Artavius Jones. 4-star by everybody. Great depth. He's fine. Justin Scott, St. Ignatius College Prep. Shout out to St. Ignatius. 5 stars. If you didn't know, Justin Scott is a 5-star true sophomore. 5-star. Played in 11 games last year. Has to be excited to be able to play weekly, start weekly. I want to see him and see what comes of number 5 up front Shout out to Justin Scott. It's just nice to win a 5-star, finally gets in the rotation and was patient. Donta Simpson. Donta Simpson, you see a freshman in the 2 deep. That's pretty scary. Shout out to Chaminade Madonna, right? Yeah, the Florida small school beast, kill everybody. Yeah, that's where he's from. 15 sacks despite playing with an injury last year. He was under-recruited till his junior year. He's amazing. Shout out to him. We'll see what happens. Young studs in the lineup. They'll be okay. They're good. I like them. I still give them an 8.75 because it's still young, talented players. It's not returning production or anything like that. On the edge for Miami, oh boy. Who we got? We got Akeem first. Akeem's up here. He's a Canadian dude. Second team preseason, by the way. Second team all ACC in the preseason. He's in his 6th year of college football. So 6th year, you're a grown man by that point. This is a guy who, like I said, he's Canadian, but he went to the Clearwater Academy International. They're the ones who get all the international kids, and then they go sign somewhere like that. I've seen many kids on the rosters from that place, so shout out to them. Started his career at West Virginia. He was Big 12 honorable mention in 2021. He was also a true freshman All-American. And then 2022, he was ACC honorable mention. He led Miami in sacks. He's great. 2023, he was injured after 2 games. Got it. And that's why you know Ruben Bain Jr. So more power to him. I'm excited for this. That's a 1-2 punch. The edge rushers right there, they're elite. That's why it's a 10.5. They are right up there with Clemson with edge rushers. Those guys are amazing. Lightfoot's the next guy. He's 6'5", played special teams last year, 5-star recruit, if you didn't know, another 5-star. Played in 9 games, mostly special teams. He's a future good player. Cole McConaughey. Shout out to Spanish Fort, Alabama. Spanish Fort. Yeah, Spanish Fort. Super powerhouse. Down south, Alabama, right? Spanish Fort product, 4 stars. We'll see what Cole can do. I'm excited for those 3 dudes. That's really highly rated dudes. 1 old man who can do it all, and then 2 young bucks who are ready to go. And then you get Ruben Bain. Elite, first team all-conference in the preseason. He did miss 4 games last season due to injury, but everybody knows the deal. As a freshman, 7.5 sacks, got on the map. All the kids who watch TikTok and all the videos, they'll just tell you he's amazing. And him and Stewart at South Carolina, but there's better players. But still, he's a legit first team all-conference in the preseason player. He's amazing. He's good. You cannot say he's not great. If you think somebody's better, it's all subjective. That's a great player. You don't get much better than that. Then you got Blount right behind him, 5-star recruit. By the way, Ruben Bain was a 4-star player. So you got Blount. Blount's a 5-star recruit, if I remember correctly. I don't have it in my notes, but pretty sure it's there. And then Malik Bryant was a 4-star. I know that. Should redshirt and get more playing time in another year or something, but he never redshirted. You're a junior, you're third string, and you're not redshirting? That's crazy. Let's check the chat one more time before we go on. Shout out to Donnie. Let's see what Donnie said, bro. Donnie's up in his joint. Donnie says, almost didn't realize this was just ACC. Was about to ask about Fresno State, but I have plenty of questions when the Mountain West video comes out. Mountain West video will be coming out. It won't be a live stream like this one. It will be sold. MVPs get it for free. If you're an MVP on Patreon, you get it for free. The MVP is like $25. But if you're on YouTube, you don't have to be an MVP. You can just be a minion. There are 3 different levels. You can just be a minion for $1.99 a month or something like that, and you can see everything. You won't get the MVP content like the gambling stuff. You won't get the UFC stuff, but you'll definitely get the podcasts like these on the position groups. That'll be there. The analysis on who's going to win what games and stuff, you won't get that. But $1.99 a month, bro. Come on now. You lose $1.99 a month. Just walk it. You lose it. It just falls out of your pocket. It's not the end of the world. So anyways, yeah, appreciate you, Donnie. No questions about your Bulldogs and Fresno State. If you didn't know, Donnie's a huge Bulldogs fan. He's hard to deal with. Everything I do, I got to answer about the Bulldogs. All right, back to what I was saying here. I think we finished with Miami. We're now in North Carolina. Sorry, we'll start zipping through these teams. Sorry for being so long-winded. We have been here for an hour and a half. We want to get these done in less than 2 hours. Shout out to North Carolina here. North Carolina, just a little bit average on the scores. They tried to find answers. I could see that the transfer portal they used, They addressed the offensive line a lot. They addressed a lot of the other groups. But on the defensive side, there are transfers here, but they're not anything to be too excited about. We got C.J. Mims coming in. He's a transfer from ECU, East Carolina, 6'2", 300 pounds, rotational guy. He's a group of 5 guy, but he's here because he's 300 pounds. They needed to find a bunch of 300-pounders. Isaiah Johnson, Arizona transfer, 12 games in 3 years. It's a Chandler product. I got that. But 12 games in 3 years. That's not much. And 6'1", 310. Just another 300-pounder that they needed. There's a guy on the UNC staff. His name is Ty Nichols. He's a defensive assistant, and he spent the last 2 years at Arizona. I think Ty Nichols is the reason that we got Isaiah Johnson all the way to North Carolina. Other than that, I can't think of any other reason. Shout out to him. Dante Robinson, the other starter there, 6'4", 315. It's a Florida transfer, 4-star. He has 1 start, 11 games. He was rotation on a good front. I mean, he was fine. It's not a bad starter. Not a bad starter for them. I'll take that. And then Peter Pesky. Pazanski. Peter Pazanski, 6'2", 290, 4-star. Very athletic family. Both parents were basketball players. Brother's a quarterback at Holy Cross. Sister's a captain of the crew team over at Alabama. And then his backup is Devin. Yeah, Devin's the freshman that's coming in. Mill Creek, what up, Georgia? Mill Creek's finest. Shout out to Caleb Downs. He's also from Mill Creek, among others. But he's 6'2", 295. Baller is what I wrote. Baller. So I like all the defensive tackles. They're fine. It's just a bunch of 300-pounders that they could find. It's nothing too exceptional. There's potential there. Let's hope it works out for them. At the very top, we have Smith Vilbert transfer. Smith Vilbert, 6'6", 282. Penn State transfer. Was in the rotation. 35 games played. Lightly used rotational player. Lightly used. Not heavy rotation, light. But he's here and he's starting. Rico, it's Penn State transfer starter. I got it, bro. I hope it works out for them. Then we have a name I can't say. We'll just go with Melkart. Melkart Abu Jaoud. Melkart Jabu Al Jaoud. 6'5", 260. Delaware transfer. 6.5 sacks. Rotational guy at Delaware. Not even a starter at Delaware, but he's here and he's rotational. He's affordable. It's good. Emmanuel, freshman, Canadian, 6'4", 250. Then we got Yates. Yates is over here. Price Yates, number 10, the other defensive end. He's a UConn transfer. He beat UNC in the bowl game, if you don't remember this. I think he jumped in the portal, then came out of the portal, went back and played on UConn, and then he beat the shit out of UNC in the bowl game. Next thing you know, he leaves UConn to come over here to UNC. It's crazy. If they can't beat you, let them join you, right? That's pretty cool. But he only played in 6 games last year, but he was a multi-year starter at UConn before that. So shout out to Yates. I hope he can play in more games and be healthy. Mopoi Joseph there, number 25. He's 6'5", 261. He's from the Congo. He's another Penn State transfer. So just like Smith Vilbert up there, Penn State transfers. Still young, former 4-star. So I hope they figure that out. It feels like they got a bunch of leftovers from some teams and they just put it all together. It feels like a very makeshift group. Not terrible, but a makeshift group. It is what it is. The best they could do with what they had. NC State. Brandon Cleveland up front. Yeah, Brandon Cleveland's good, man. Brandon Cleveland is second-team All-ACC in the preseason. That's a very good player. Started every game last season. One of the most improved players on the team. If you look at his 2023 tape to his 2024 tape, significant difference in what he is. They told me he gained 35 pounds of muscle in the last year or so. Justin Terrell, Rome, what up, Rome, Georgia product. Shout out to him. He's also gained 30 pounds in the last year. He redshirted last year. Still a freshman, but when he played, he was great. Chaz Wallace, remember I told you those 80 ODU transfers that didn't pan out? Chaz Wallace is one of them, and now he's third string here. This is Chaz. Was at ODU, was in the rotation, went to Colorado. Couldn't really do much there. I think he just played. It's just, I don't think he belongs on a Power 4 roster, and he keeps doing it to himself over and over and over. It is what it is. Isaiah Shirley. Where's Isaiah? Oh, Isaiah Shirley starting left tackle here, or left defensive end. Isaiah Shirley missed spring, recovering from surgery. I hope he's back. He played in 12 games last season, but he was injured all year. He was a tight end his freshman year, and he redshirted back in 2023. He was the Scout Team Player of the Year on defense. Also won the Hungry Wolf Award for Most Improved Nutrition. Could be a hidden gem if he's healthy, Isaiah Shirley, at left defensive end. I'm excited for that. I like when guys play Scout Team, and then they're so good, the coaches are like, hey, man, go over there. Go do that thing. I'm cool with that. Josh Alexander Felton gained 20 pounds. Didn't play. Young, talented guy, but I can't give this a ranking beyond that of an average Power 4 player because he's never played. They grabbed some transfers. Joseph Adair over there. He is 6'3", 265. That's a Texas Tech transfer. Was injured last season, missed the whole year, but in 2023 he did start 8 games. So if he can get back from his injury, he could be starting caliber for sure. Shout out to him. Joseph Adair, he can do his thing. I really think I can improve his grade if it happens. AJ Prim, JUCO guy, Foley, Alabama. I'll wait to see him this season. JUCO tapes are so hard to watch sometimes. They're like grainy, weird. You're playing scrubs. It's bad. Sometimes it's bad. I'm just letting you know. Trevally, Price. You have Price on the other defensive end position. Full-time starter, 38 games. Stud. Sebastian Harsh was the Wyoming transfer. Where's Sebastian? Yeah, Sebastian Harsh, Wyoming transfer. Started 7 of the last 8 games that he played at Wyoming. And he's here now. He was third-team All-Mountain West back in 2023. I was watching his huddle tape. He was a high school dual-threat quarterback. Solid hidden gem. I like him. I'm glad they signed him. Sebastian Harsh, one of those guys I'm pulling for. Chase Bond didn't play last year, but he did gain 20 pounds. Shout out to him. Pittsburgh. You guys know why Pittsburgh wins games when nobody expects them to? It's because they have good players. And that's why they keep getting signed by other teams. They're recruiting. They're evaluating players right. Like Narduzzi, man, as much as you don't like Narduzzi and he's complaining all the time in the media, they evaluate talent really well. And then they develop their players and they find kids that are Pitt tough. And somebody hijacks them, right? They go to the highest bidder or whatever. But trust me, I'm watching even Pitt transfers. When I watch them on tape, I go, yo, that kid can really play. And that's the case for Pitt, man. They got a nice team. They know what they're doing. I think they're going to be okay in certain games. They're going to be competitive. I promise you. I'm going to go to the chat real quick. Let's see what my boy Donnie said. He says, indeed, you could say I'm pretty hardcore, but I definitely not super biased. I can understand when we suck, and not very often are you wrong. Not very often am I wrong. Shout out to Donnie. No, man, I don't feel I'll be wrong in my assessment of Fresno. It's just tough when you assess them. And I'll talk about it in the Mountain West episode. But there's been a drastic withdrawal of talent from Fresno State, if I'm being honest. Did I say Georgia Tech? What the hell did I say? In the Mountain West, I'll talk about it. But you can think about all the transfers. I want you to think about the transfers that used to leave Fresno State and go to other schools and become superstars. Joshua Kelly, for one example. There's just a ton of them. And when you go and look at it, they're just not doing that anymore. It's different, bro. It's different. Not going to happen. We'll see what's up. We'll see how Sherrod does up at Boise. But, stuff like that. We'll talk about it. Anyways, back to this. Pitt, Fitzsimmons. Sean Fitzsimmons started all 9 games. He played in last year. He's 6'3", 295 pounds. He didn't start till October because of a preseason injury, but he is pretty good. And this is important because he started the last 9 games of the season. So when I go look at his PFF scores, I know they were in conference play, not on scrubs. And I like this guy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Sean Fitzsimmons, I like him a lot. He looks pretty good. Francis Abreu, 6'2", 280. Rotation as a true freshman. Started the bowl game. PFF all-freshman team. I think he has a very bright future. Just needs to keep eating. 280, you can gain those other 20 pounds. You can get up to 300. Get there. Nick James. Where is Nick? Nick James, bitch. The other defensive tackle, that's an IMG product for sure. He's out of Indiana, but he's an IMG product. Rotational guy last season. He started 10 games at defensive tackle for Pitt, so he's done it before. He can do it again. Shout out to Nick James. I want to say he was honorable mention in the ACC at one point. Don't misquote me. Isaiah Neal's the backup. Number 97 here. Isaiah Neal is a St. Francis Academy product. Shout out to him. 6'2", 265. That's just too small. 13 games played, 3 starts. Just not enough size for me. I like one guy, but I don't like another guy. I like both of these starters. The backups are just so young, they need to eat more. And that's why you get stuck at a 9, because I feel like they got players, man. I really do. They got 2 starters that I really liked on tape, but the edges or the depth isn't there to push it any further. Shout out to Pitt. And I'm even being generous with that 9. I am. Edge rushers. Blaine Spires. Shout out to Blaine Spires. This is a 6'3", 250-pound guy, 6-year guy, so he's like an adult. He's transferring in from Utah State. 2 years at Utah State. He started 7 games. He played in 20 of them. He was at Bowling Green for 4 years. If you guys don't remember, in the MAC. He was at Bowling Green for 4 years, played in 30 games, 17 starts. Pretty good stuff. I just don't know what version of Spires you're going to get. Right? Joey Zielinski's the backup. He's also a older guy, 5th year EMU transfer. Another MAC guy, 6'4", 250, 36 games at EMU. He's a former JUCO guy. Those are 2 veterans up there. Those are a complete veteran thing. They wanted to bring in grown-ass men in the position group room, and they did, and they found the right answer for them. So shout out to them. Nate Temple's there. 2023, he started 9 games at defensive end. Then he was injured, missed the rest of the year, missed most of last year. I don't know if he's going to find his old form. But you're looking at 3 guys up top that have starting experience in the FBS. Other people don't even have that. Like, other teams don't have that. And the first 2 guys are actually pretty damn good if they get that opportunity to go out there and do it. On the other side, you have Jimmy Scott. Jimmy Scott is a second-team All-ACC in the preseason. People love what Jimmy Scott brings to the table, 6'3", 260. He started 13 games last year. He had 6 sacks. Pretty good. I think he's a difference maker is what I wrote. And if you aren't aware, we're going to get to the linebackers. If you didn't know, Pitt has some of the best linebackers in America. I don't know if you know that, but they do. And consider that news to you if you didn't know. Shout out to you. Get out of the rock you live under. Jaden Moore, Oregon transfer, has a bright future. He's coming over from Oregon. But Oregon upgraded their roster, and they didn't need him anymore. That's the reality of the situation. I think he's a good fit. Reality of the situation, I think he's a good fit for Pitt. Eat shit, Pitt. Not a real thing, man. I like Pitt a lot. Shout out to them. They're just a good program to pull for, cheer for. Speaking of programs to cheer for, we're looking at SMU right now. SMU doing great things. People are expecting SMU to fall off. I don't know how or why you feel that way. You can see here they have a competitive number right now. If you look in the ACC overall, in my assessment of their roster, they're currently at 57. Look who's ahead of them. It's Clemson, Miami, and then who? SMU. They're currently the third best team in the ACC with 3 position groups to go. By the way, their secondary is elite. So, SMU, Jeffrey Emba to start off. Jeffrey Emba is now a graduate transfer. You can change assessments of players. You don't have to stick with it forever. I'm going to talk to you guys about Jeffrey Emba. At one point, Jeffrey Emba was the number 1 JUCO player coming out of the transfer portal. I went and watched his tape and went, so what? The dude is 6'6", 250 pounds, 312 pounds. So what? 6'6", 300 pounds. I immediately knew he couldn't play at Auburn. So he goes to Auburn, couldn't play there. And he's there, and I'm just like, man, yeah, he's from Indy. He's from Last Chance U, Indy. I'm like, nah, bruh. I don't care. I don't think he can play here. He had 2 tackles against Mercer, and that was it. So then he transferred to Purdue. And I still thought, not going to be there. No, he got there, and he got developed. And yes, Ryan Walters and them got fired. But Ryan Walters is a defensive coordinator. Remember when he was defensive coordinator of the year at Illinois? He developed the hell out of those players. That's why the Purdue transfers can all play at other places. That's why when you look and you're like, wait, where'd that guy come from? Where's Will Help from? Purdue defense. It's just one of those things where they got developed and they're ready to go contribute. And here it is. Jeffrey Emba is grown now. So last year he played great. It's pretty awesome to see. Shout out to him. Fully grown. Behind him is Jonathan Jefferson, a Georgia transfer. He transferred from Georgia last year, back in 2024. 13 games in 3 years. He's 6'3", 315. He is Douglas County's finest. Shout out to them. Douglas County, if you don't know, another Georgia power recently. Shout out to him. Good backup to get. Cavante Spears. Kavionte. Bruh. I don't come up with these names. Kavionte Spears, 6'4", 313. He's a rotational player from Memphis. But in 2023, he was a Memphis starter. Solid depth. These are 3 grown men going into the Power 4. You got it. They found 3 defensive tackles to rotate. You won't see any drop-off. They're all very, very grown. Good job, SMU. You addressed what you needed to address. Next is Terry Webb up front. Terry Webb is a Texas State transfer. He was rotational, but he was the 2023 starter, I believe, for Texas State. He was rotational last year, but he was the starter back in 2023. He had more stats. when he wasn't the starter. If you look at production, his production goes up when he's not the starter. That could be for a number of reasons. Got more rest, went up against weaker opponents. I mean, it's a number of things, but he improved in his production in the last year. He was also a JUCO product, but he's 6'3", 313 pounds. Remember, we need 300-pounders in the middle. If we got 280, we're losing. And if we got 330, we're really winning. That's how the teams are doing it. It's all body weight, man. Just big-ass dudes. Whether you can play football or not all 300-pounders are equal. Some are better than others, obviously. But that's what these coaches are looking for. That's what they're backfilling their roster with. So you have DeMarge Lewis. Shout out to DeMarge Lewis, 6'3", 309 pounds. Purdue transfer. Once again, Purdue transfer. Rotational last year after missing most of the season in 2023. So they got 2 Purdue transfers coming in. They know what they're doing. Let's go. Blake Burris, graduate transfer. Remember Blake Burris? He was a transfer from Texas Tech last year. He's not a transfer anymore. He's been here. 6'5", 308 pounds. He was on special teams last year at SMU. And now let's get to the edge rushers. Edge rushers are Kevin Robinson. Kevin Robinson, I was a little ahead of the curve on this. I made him my hidden gem last year in the preseason. If you didn't know, I did a series of videos where I identified one hidden gem on every single team. It's on TikTok. I'm sorry, on YouTube. Check the playlist. If you check playlist on the homepage, you will find all the hidden gems. You go through them. And I'm hit or miss. I missed a few, hit on a few, slam dunked a few, like some amazing ones. Desmond Reed at Pitt, things like that. But some real shots in the dark that nobody had a clue about some of these players. And I'm like, that guy's going to be somebody because I watched tape. Remember, 2 years ago, my hidden gem was Dylan Thieneman before he ever played a game at Purdue. He's now at Oregon. And he led fucking country in tackles among people in the secondary. Like, I have a knack for looking at players and going, yep, that's the guy. That's the guy. Well, how do I do that? I watch tape all fucking day long. So when you see somebody, you see it's anomalous, right? Anomaly detection. Like, I'm looking at everybody, and they all look the same. They all look the same. And I see one guy, and I'm like, wait, that guy looks different from everybody. That's how I do it. That's what I used to do for the NSA. I'm a former cyber expert. I used to just study trends. So it is what it is. Nonetheless, Kevin Robinson. I studied him when he hit the transfer portal. I went and watched his tape. Him and a guy named Varkey's Gums, who's now at UNLV. Varkey's Gums is a tight end. But I was watching tape on North Texas about 3 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 to 3 years ago. Somewhere around there. And I was watching North Texas, and all their transfers were going to Ole Miss. They had a linebacker, some guy the third. He was going to Auburn. A corner going to Ole Miss. They had a player going here, a player going there. And I saw all of it. And then I studied it all. I made all my charts. I did all my evaluations. And then the spring came. And in the spring, this young kid, Cameron Robertson, hits the transfer portal. And I went back and I said, whoa, hold on. This is a good kid. This is a good player. Where's he transferring to? He's leaving North Texas and he's going to SMU. I said, hey, they got a player. So I sat on it for like a year. And then the next year I made him my hidden gem. And I was wrong because he didn't get to play much. He wasn't that effective, all this stuff. And then here he is. He's the starter. This is a guy who got 4 sacks last year. He had 1 start in the past 2 years. And now he's the starter. This is what it takes to be an evaluation of talent, right? I want you to know that the college football coaches are doing this right now. They are watching huddle tape all day, and they're trying to find players who are going to be their starter in 2 to 3 years. I'm doing it no different from them, just from my living room. I'm doing it from my studio and it's not my living room where I'm sitting. When I started this whole thing, I was working out in my living room. Is why I said that. But I'm in my studio, and I'm right. Some coaches like players better than others. Some things happen. I can't predict injuries. I can't predict work ethic. I can't predict a lot of things. But this is one of those situations where I feel pretty fucking good. Shout out to Cameron Robinson. Go make me proud, man, and prove me right. Make me Nostradamus in this joint because I think he's a hell of a good player. I'm ready to see what he can do. Yeah, I'm excited for him. Shout out to him. Sorry for the long drawn story, but I've been on this kid for years. And to see him starting at SMU after never start. He started 1 game in the last 2 years, and he's starting for SMU, one of the best teams in America. I feel like I'm him. I promise you. And shout out to SMU, whoever they have evaluating talent and players. They're doing it right, obviously. I feel like they're them as well. And that's what you guys got to understand. There's a RicoKnows on every college staff in America. There's got to be a guy that's evaluating talent and looking at players. There's got to be a whole group of guys that are doing it. And I'm proud when it lines up and it coincides with what I'm doing. Pretty good stuff. Just let you know, it's a proof of concept that you're doing the right thing. I get DMs from coaches all the time, just so you're aware. I get DMs from college coaches on Twitter probably once a week or so, and they'll be like, hey, you really did it for me. As a matter of fact, I wish I could show you guys. I'm actually recording right now on TikTok right now, but I got a text this morning from C.J. Brona's father. His name is Thurman. C.J. Brona is a 4 or 5-star defensive back. Got an offer from Florida. I think he's committed to go there. He's a state champ, like the 100 meters and all this stuff. C.J. Brona's amazing. And his parents reached out to me 2 years ago, and they said, Rico, what can you do? Can you help us? We want to help with we need help with the recruiting of our son. And they paid me a certain amount of money, and I told them, hey, man, look, I'll do the video. I'll talk to you about it. Let me go assess all his stuff. And it's because his older brother was good at football, but his older brother ended up at Eastern Michigan as a running back. And they said, CJ, where's he going to go? Can you help us? He's not getting any recruiting, no offers, nobody's interested. And I went and watched the tape, and I instantly said, oh, guys, you have a blue chip player on your hand. Like, you have a phenomenal football player on your hands. You don't need my help at all. You don't need my help. I'm going to make the video. I'm going to post it. I'll do a high school film review. I'll do my reacting to his tape. You don't need my help, though. I'm going to do it, and that's that. Please, you don't need to pay me. And a couple months go by, calls me, Thurman and his wife. They call me from their hot tub, and we're talking. And we might have had like an hour-long conversation. And he says to me, you think we're going to be okay? I said, yeah, man. Still no offers. Still nothing. About 2 months later, Nebraska, South Carolina, Florida, the offers come pouring in. And it's pretty cool. So I share that story with you guys only because this morning, Thurman texted me out of nowhere and just said, hey, Mr. Rico, I just want to thank you again and personally say how grateful we are for the guidance and all this other stuff. And then he asked me for my email address. He wants to send me something. And he's also invited me down to Florida to come hang out with them. And if I'm staying in a vacation somewhere, they'll pay for my hotel, all that stuff. I appreciate them. Look, I'm not in it. I make a living doing this, but I'm not in it to get rich and off that kind of stuff. I didn't want any money from them or anything. I just wanted them to understand they had a phenomenal player. And I knew it the minute I saw it. And that's pretty cool when you can watch a tape and go, that's elite. As opposed to going, yo, he's a baller, and you're wrong. Like, I'm not wrong. Okay? So that's why you got to trust the talent evaluation. Sometimes things go right, and it feels pretty good. Back to this. Ja'Kai Lang, sorry for talking so long. That's why you watch the show. Ja'Kai Lang here, rotational at Missouri as a freshman, 6'3", 255. This is the backup guy. He's got some depth here. He's rotational at Missouri. You're going to be rotational here, and they're going to use you. It's fine. I think he's a good player, so shout out to him. Where am I next? Is Trey Wilson? Yeah, Trey Wilson. Changed his number to 14, by the way. That number's wrong there. 58's wrong. Trey Wilson will be wearing number 14 this year. He's a Baylor transfer, 6'3", 275. Another rotational guy at Baylor, former 4-star. I think he's quality depth. Shout out to him. Isaiah Smith is number 1. Isaiah Smith. St. John's product. Shout out to St. John's. 6'4", 250. He's been in the rotation for 3 years, and every year the production has increased. Isaiah Smith has gotten better. And now he's a senior. And if you look at the SMU defensive front, I want you to count how many seniors you have in the starting lineup. They're all seniors or a graduate, right, in Emba's case. But they're all seniors. Backups, they have a couple seniors and graduates. It's just a very senior-laden team. If you look at the defensive line and the secondary, all seniors as well. This is a very experienced defense. They've been around. To me, when you see nothing but seniors in the starting lineup like that, they've been around for a long time. They might have peaked 1 year too early. Like last year, they were just ahead of schedule. I think this year they're really good. And you guys need to be aware of that. SMU's not going anywhere. They're going to be very good, okay? Just trust. SMU's going to be very, very good. So Isaiah Smith's there. Billy Walton III, South Oak Cliff. I can't say it too fast. I get the words wrong, but you know the deal. South Oak Cliff. See, I did it right there. South Oak Cliff. He's pretty good. He's a Texas transfer, Billy Walton. Transfer from Texas, 6'3", 250. He got some light rotation last year. Great future for him. I think he's going to be pretty good if they just keep him in the rotation and keep him going. DJ Warner, Kansas transfer, 4-star, rarely used at Kansas, and he's here. Sounds like a lot of recruits on the back end, but just trust. You got some seniors leading them, leading by example, teaching them the ways of the wisdom and the world, and they'll all figure it out. I like SMU. Gave them 8s, not 9s. Like those recruits, when they develop and become stars, that's when you get to 9s. When they become draft picks, that's when you get to 10s. 8 means you have elite prospects. That's where they're at right now. Shout out to SMU. Speaking of elite prospects, now shout out to Stanford. Let's go back to the bottom of the barrel in the ACC. We're looking at Stanford. They're going to win games that you don't expect them to win, but it's not going to be much. I just want you to know that. Carol Javalera, that USC kid was hyped up because he was a Colorado kid. Oh, that's exactly what it was. Shout out to you, Carol. I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, the recruit. It's because he had an offer from Colorado, so all the fans kept telling you how good he was. But I've seen the kid in person. Like I led a camp. I was there at the show. I was there at the 5-star camp watching him in person, evaluating him. I have film on it, on the drills. Not good. So if he beat up a bunch of dudes with his teammates at IMG, more power to him. But it didn't happen when he got the 4 and 5 stars in front of him. And that's what he's going to have in front of him on Saturdays. Stanford. Here we go. Stanford. No transfers on the defensive line. No transfers for Stanford. They said, we're going to go to war with what we got, bruh. Ain't that shit crazy? You ever done that before? It's wild. I'm talking about ever had a barbecue and you don't have all the right ingredients? You don't have all the right meat and the right prep and you just go for it? You start looking around like, how are we going to start this fire? Well, I don't got no lighter fluid. Shit's just already started wrong. Well, I'm going to use my gas grill, but I'm out of propane. All right, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? What are you going to make? What you got? You got burgers? Yeah, I got burgers. We got any buns? No, we don't have no buns, bro. We're just going to use bread. We're going to use regular sandwich bread. Man, I'm leaving this motherfucker. Hey, you got hot dog buns? No, we're folding the bread. Stanford is folding the bread, bro. You don't need to live like this. It's Stanford, for crying out fucking loud. Obviously, Stanford has identified themselves as an academic institution, so they're making it extremely difficult for transfers to get in. They have to meet certain standards. At Stanford, they've already put it out on record. They do want to be known for their academics. They're one of the greatest universities on the planet Earth when it comes to academics. They don't care about their football program per se, kind of like the Ivy League, right? They have more than enough funding, endowment, boosters, all that stuff for this school. They just don't apply it to the athletic budget. That's the reality of the situation. And then the school won't allow the transfers. I know for a long time, it was a while there before they had an undergraduate transfer. You had to be a graduate from another school. You weren't showing up and getting a Stanford degree. You don't get to come over to Stanford for only 2 years and get a degree from us. Nah. And that's kind of how that went. Now they're fighting that battle. That's why David Shaw retired. So that's why most of the time you'll see very rarely will you see these undergraduate transfers. Nowadays, it's happening. But I remember the first time was the kid from Texas A&M becoming an undergraduate transfer, and then there was an FIU transfer. This is like 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. The names, guys, I got to dump them and keep it moving. So anyways, Stanford, no transfers. Defensive tackle, Zach Bucky. Zach Bucky in the middle, moved from defensive end. It's his 5th year, 2023. He started 3 games. He played in all 12 games. I think he's pretty good, but he was just dominating. If you go look at the stats, right? Like if you go look at stats, for example, you say, man, Rico, he got 3 sacks. Yeah, go look at it, bro. He's playing against Cal. Cal was starting lineman that belonged in the FCS, and he got 3 sacks in 1 game against Cal. Cool. And it's a school record, and it's all this stuff. It's Cal, bro, and they sucked. I can't do it. So I don't know if he's like that. But he's played a fair amount of football, and it's what they're going with. They got nobody else. No transfers anywhere. Then we got Braden over there backing him up. 6'3", number 75. 6'3", 300 pounds. Doesn't look power forward caliber to me, but he's 300 pounds. Jacoby Murray, number 42. He is 6'1", 315, redshirted last year. I never heard of him, and he's from Georgia. That's what I wrote, bro. Never heard of him, and he's from Georgia. If you're from Georgia, you're going all the way to Stanford to play in the Power 4, and I never heard of you. And look, guys, when I say that guy doesn't look Power 4 to me, I've evaluated every player in the Power 4. Every player. I'm not just winging it. Like, no, every motherfucker. I rack and stack them all. I'm reading my notes. Let me show you guys. This is just the ACC. These are my notes on the ACC. And I got them made for every single team in the ACC. Right? Guys, that's 4,100 words right here for the ACC. 4,100, 5,000 word essay. on the ACC, and this is just defensive line. I have these notes like this for every position group. Every year, for every team. First time I've ever shared them with you guys. But I know every player. These guys ain't it. That's where I'm at. Then we got, who do I have next? I have Jacoby. No, we already just talked about Jacoby. Anthony Franklin, 5th year. 5th year, Anthony Franklin, defensive end up here, number 94. He's in his 5th year. He's 6'3", 285. He's a 3-year starter. Been starting since he was a redshirt freshman. I believe he's an alpha male is what I put. I think he's an alpha male, like one of those apex predator alpha males. Like we walk into a room, he's going to rip your head off. Anthony Franklin's bad as shit, dude. That dude's tough. I like Anthony Franklin a lot. Unfortunately for him, he plays at Stanford, but he's a beast of a man. I'm sure he's loving his school, his education and everything, but that dude's a beast. Omar Staples is behind him. Omar Staples, 6'3", 270, 11 games played, light production. Even though he played 11 games, it's not really there. Joe Asian behind him. Bro, if that's not Asian, hey, is it asinine? Asian? Bro, tell me what that is. Asiain. Asianin. Assistant. Bro. Joe is 6'3", 275. I said he looks like a future player. That's a Jersey kid, by the way. So maybe that'll help with the pronunciation. Can I get the origin, please? The origin is Jersey. That dude's from Jersey, bro. Shout out to him. He looks like a hell of a player, though. I'm letting you know that right now. He looks like a future player. Defensive end on the other side is Zach Rowell. Zach Rowell. I'm doing it, dude. I'm doing the best I can. Roll. 6'3", 280. 4 starts last year. Working towards his moment. I like him. He's an average power 4 starter for sure. Clay Patterson's behind him. That's the Yale transfer. Clay Patterson transferred from Yale. You can get a Ivy League transfer for sure. They'll take him. 6'3", 280, 2-time All Ivy League first team. And this is what I'm talking about. You can be first team All Ivy League, and everybody brag about it and all this shit. They're telling me that right now. The receiver at Kansas. Oh, we got a receiver at Kansas. He was all Ivy League first team. He's going to go for 500 yards. And I'm just like, this is a 2-time All Ivy League first teamer, and he can't even start at Stanford. Right? But he was a 3-time All-American at the FCS level, I think, or 2-time. What was it? 3rd team. That's what I wanted to say. He was the 3rd team All-American. He was All-American 1 time, but it was 3rd team. Yeah, shout out to Clay Patterson. Not bad. But only played 4 games last year. He's still adjusting to try to play here at this time. Anyway, Stanford doesn't look good on the defensive front. It's fine. It's better than some of these other teams, but it's not anything to talk about. Now, Syracuse. Everybody always wants to talk about Syracuse. Syracuse, defensive tackles look a little better than the edge rushers. It is what it is. So we got Deion Wilson here. Deion Wilson Jr., 6'5", 305. You guys remember he started his career over at Arizona, but he wanted more playing time, so he transferred to New Mexico State 2023 when New Mexico State won all those games with Diego Pavia and the boys. He ended up having 4 starts at NMSU, played around there for a little bit, and then he transfers over here. Last year, he had 5 starts, but he missed most of the year with an injury. This will be his 6th year. He has 3 sacks in his entire career, and he only has 5.5 tackles in his life. I want you guys to understand 5.5 tackles for loss in his life. That's a problem. If you've been playing for 6 years and you only have 5.5 tackles for loss in your life, that's a problem. Not good enough for me. But it's fine. I don't understand. I don't understand it. George Rooks. Boston, I wrote another note here, and I didn't want to be rude and say it out loud, so I just left it quiet. But it's insane that people value this guy as much as they do. That's what I wrote. As I'm watching tape on him, I'm that unimpressed. It's crazy. I don't mean to be disparaging. I'm just keeping it real. George Rooks, Boston College transfer. George Rooks here. George Rooks was his father. If you don't remember George Rooks, he was the Big East co-defensive player of the year back in 1991. Out of high school, Rooks went to Michigan. So remember this. I just follow players, just pay attention to stuff. But George Rooks, when he went to Michigan, it was one of those things where it's like, it's the son of a great player of all time. 1 tackle back in 2022. So then he shows it to Boston College. And now he's here. And he's in the rotation. My whole time, I'm just going, Those two just, I don't get it. And then we have Elijah behind him. Elijah is 6'4", 295, one start in his whole career. He's been a depth guy the whole time, and he's a redshirt senior now. Never really played football for the most part. Chris Thomas. Chris Thomas is a Marshall transfer, 6'6", 315. Out of high school, he went to Florida. Then he went 2 years to Marshall, but he was rotational, and I thought he was pretty damn good at Marshall. He wasn't the starter, but when I watched the tape, the whole time I'm watching him, I go, yo, that guy can play football. Like, that guy can play football. That's how I feel about it. So it's players like that, like Chris Thomas, for example, not going down to Southern Miss with Coach Huff. Like, I saw a lot of guys talking about Southern Miss and how they're going to be so great because they got all these transfers from Marshall. And I agree. Like, they got a bunch of offensive transfers from Marshall. But there are key players that they didn't get. And it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. They didn't get Chris Thomas. That's an amazing player. They should have got him. Their offensive linemen, they didn't bring any offensive linemen from Marshall. Not one. It's like 2 EMU transfers, a transfer from McNeese State. It's weird. A transfer from ECU maybe or something. I don't even know where they're from. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the whole lineup is just like, what? That's not winning the Sun Belt, bro. So, it's just one of those situations. But shout out to Chris Thomas. He looked good. To me, he looked good. Rashard Perry's behind him. Yeah, Rashard Perry here started 4 games last season and was looking like a future till they landed Chris Thomas. And he was looking like a future starter is what I'm saying. I thought he was going there, then they went out and got Chris Thomas. This is a good problem to have. They have nice depth at that position group. Then they got Kevin Jobity. Kevin Jobity Jr., 6'4", 300 pounds. It's not often you see a defensive end that's 300 pounds, but there you go. He started last season, the first 5 games before he got injured. Then he missed the rest of the year. I remember in 2023, he started the final 2 games. So he was starting 7 games in a row at that point. He was going to be everything, and then he got injured. Still hasn't redshirted. I think he's a good player. I really do. And I know that they're probably excited about him. But he's on his way to, he's a battle-torn veteran, if you will. And I use that term a lot, veteran, a battle-torn war vet or something like that, because I'm a retired First Sergeant. I'm a retired Army guy. And a lot of the soldiers I would lead, you could tell when somebody had deployed or not. You can tell when somebody's been in the Army 6 years versus 12 years versus 18 years. There's just a different wisdom to them, a different ability. And I can assure you the same thing is very true in college football, where these players, you can be a young stud. You can be young, dumb, and full of cum. Like, you can be one of those guys, or you can be very wise and efficient with what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I think at a certain point, you get to that level. And I feel like that's where Kevin's at right now. I just hope he bounces back and he plays the best he can, because he should have been a multi-year starter. Should have. Full seasons. David Onomatopoeia. No, I don't know how to say his last name. I watch these games on mute. I don't know how they say these names. 6'3", 260. Last season, he had 1 start, 12 games played, still developing. I'm not sold on him to be a starter in the Power 4 right now. Isaiah Hastings, the Alabama transfer up there. It's no surprise to me that Isaiah Hastings is 3rd string. He should probably be 4th string. Last year, when Isaiah Hastings hit the portal, I watched the tape, and I just told everybody that guy can't play football. That's it. Just told you he can't play football, and I wasn't playing. And I warned everybody, and nobody listened to me. Yes, he's huge. How tall is he? I don't have his notes in here. He's like 6'4". 6'4", 300 pounds. Waste of space from what I saw on tape. I'm not with it, bro. Not with it. Then we go to the right side, right defensive end. David Reese, he's the guy in yellow there. David Reese, senior transfer. This is a guy, 5 years at Florida, 6'2", 240. You've been lifting weights at Florida for 5 years. And then you go and spend 2 years at Cal. In 2023, he was honorable mention at Pac-12. Pac-12. Moving him to defensive end tells me what they think of the edges on this side. It's true, man. So we'll see what happens. Jaquez, Dennis is behind him. Dennis Jaquez. He's not bad. 10 games, last 5 seasons. He is also injury prone. I don't know what the deal is, but a lot of these guys are injury prone over at Syracuse. Oh, well. Let's go to the chat. Don't mean to drag it out, but you guys hang in there with me. We are past 2 hours. We're trying to get this done. We will get it done. Chat says, and I quote, Rico is omniscient. I don't know what that means, bro. Jordan Carlin, I don't know that word, bro. I don't know that word. I'm a Mexican man with a limited vocabulary. I am dumbfounded. I am perplexed. I am confused. I am stumped. Please, somebody tell me what that means, bro. Somebody tell me what that means. Did that guy just insult me in my living room? Did that guy just insult me on this live stream? Did he say I was omniscient? And I could see no one's saying anything in the chat because everybody's Googling it right now. I can tell everybody's Googling it. Whoa, excuse me. What? That's crazy. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you hit the wrong button. I'm still trying to figure out what this word means. We're not gonna let this slide, bro. We're not gonna let this slide. I gotta Google it. Google. Omniscient? Omniscient. Omniscient definition. This guy said, knowing everything. Oh, shit. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. This man just said, I know everything in 4K, and I had no clue. He said, I know everything in an advanced language. I'm with you, bro. Just say Rico knows ball, bro. Just say Rico knows. Apparently, I'm omniscient. I know everything. I appreciate you. Shout out to you, brother. I had no clue what the hell he was talking about. Next team, Virginia. You guys know I'm really high on Virginia. I'm just encouraged by the way they use the transfer portal. It doesn't mean I'm going to be unrealistic when I do my evaluation of them as far as talent goes. It's just one of those situations where you got to either have it or you don't. And when I sit down and look at it, we're getting here now. Virginia's percentage is 48.4%. Now, the 48% is better than Virginia Tech to this point, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Stanford, and Cal, Boston College, and it's very close to Duke. So this please understand that they're still better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the ACC. Now, they got to hope they play all 6 of those teams. That's how I feel about Virginia. Okay, just so you're aware. Now, defensive tackle, Jameer Carter. Jameer Carter, 6'2", 311, one of 10 players that started 12 games. So they had 10 players at Virginia start 12 games last year. He's one of the 10. Shout out to Jameer Carter. Getting a return starter is cool, but this is a graduate starter. It's a pretty big deal. He was also one of the 3 winners of the team's Defensive Impact Player Award. They had impact. He also had the team Strength and Conditioning Dedication Award. He got a bunch of awards. This is the guy who leads them in everything. He's the guy. And he's the starter. I'd imagine they're really happy to have him. He's a beast. Behind him is Anthony Britton. Anthony Britton is 6'3", 317. Team's most improved player from last season. So you got a 1-2 punch. They probably like it a lot. Jason Hammond, the other starting defensive tackle, 6'2", 295. He missed the final 8 games due to injury, but he started the first 4 games. I think he's a young stud. Jacob Holmes over here, that's a transfer senior from Fresno State. He played the last 25 games at Fresno State. I think he's a great rotational guy, and he knows his role. Know your role. He knows his role. Hunter Osborne, 6'4", 301, Alabama transfer. 4 games last season for Alabama. No stats of significance, but they probably got to feel good about a 300-pounder showing up with Alabama pedigree, if you will. It's not a problem. They found a bunch of 300-pounders in the middle. That's very respectable, and it feels like an 8 in the defensive tackle room. Let's talk about these edge rushers. So, edge rusher, Kazim Moore is the first one. 6'4", 252, Elon transfer. Elon. Yes, FCS program, Elon. Dude is 6'4", 252. I don't care where he goes. He's still 6'4", 252. That's a good size. He started, ask your girl. He started the last 23 games at Elon. Starts matter. 51 tackles is a wild number, even for FCS players. Listen to what I'm saying. When you look at a defensive end and you look to see their stats, you're going to see numbers. And when you see tackles at 51 among defensive ends, that's wild. How did he get to the ball that many times? Usually it's 20 or 30. If they're elite, it's 40. 50 is absurd. You'll see numbers in 60s and 70s. Sometimes that's just an outside linebacker, calls himself a defensive end. But in this particular case, this is a defensive end who did it. And I think that's pretty impressive. He also had 6 sacks. He could be a superstar. He was all conference at the FCS level. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Then behind him is Terrell Jones. Terrell Jones, a Hoover product. What up, Hoover? Hoover, Alabama. Shout out to Hoover. 6'5", 273. Defensive Impact Award as well, just like Jameer Carter. So they both got the same award. And he started a game. He played in 11. This is a guy who, if you think about it, he played in all the games, started one last year, getting ready to be the starter, and the coaching staff said, yo, we're going to go hit the transfer portal and find somebody else to challenge you or to be the starter. And it puts you back in the same spot you're in. This is where Terrell Jones was last year on the depth chart. He's here again. Now, what that tells me is you just got better, obviously, but it's coaches identifying their players who they don't want to go into the next season with as their starters. It's what it really comes down to, because how are they talking to Kazim Moore in the transfer portal? They call him up and be like, yo, man, you want to come down here and compete? Or, hey, can you come down here and fix our problem? We have a problem. We need you to start a defensive end for us. Just straight up, be real. And now you got Terrell Jones sitting back going, I thought they loved me. No, bro, they do. But they love winning more than you. So they went out and got more players, which is good. It's a good problem to have. Mekhi Buchanan. Mekhi Buchanan is the third defensive end on this side. Mekhi Buchanan is 6'4", 245. Didn't play last season. It is what it is. And then they got Mitchell Melton. I went ahead and did the Bandits because those are pass rushers. These are defensive ends. Don't ever get it twisted. These are defensive ends. And I need you guys to pay attention to this side because it's really important you understand how good they are. So Mitchell Melton is 6'4", 256. He's a good council product, so he's from the DMV. Shout out to them. He's a transfer from Ohio State. Ohio State. He's a former four-star. 13 games played at Ohio State, once again. And that's how you get in the starting lineup. A graduate transfer. He's been lifting weights for a long time. And he was in the rotation. And he beats out Fisher. And Fisher Kamek over here, this is a guy that we thought was going to be the starter. And now Fisher being the backup, this is not a terrible thing for Fisher, although he might be disappointed. But being in the rotation, Fisher Kamek is 6'7", 250 pounds. This is a guy who just had 7.5 sacks at UNLV. Played in 14 games at UNLV, and he was great. So you got a guy who comes over from UNLV with 7.5 sacks to his name, and he's in the rotation for you. It's very, very good for Virginia up front. It looks like they found the right edge rushers that they were looking for because they could beat out everybody else. And then they found the depth with the edge rushers because there's Fisher Kamek second on your depth chart, which is nuts. Good for him. All right, and then we have Daniel Rickert. Let's see what I have for Rickert. 6'2", 232, Tennessee Tech. He's been starting for the most part over the last 4 years. I think he's great, affordable depth, special teams even. He did have 7 sacks last season, and he's a back-to-back all-conference at the FCS level. He's just a smaller guy. But Virginia should be able to create packages that keep him and all the defensive linemen fresh, and it'll pay dividends. It'll pay dividends, especially like in the second half. I think this team is deep. And they found depth all the way across the board. Shout out to them. Virginia Tech's next. Let's go back to the chat. Nobody's there. Yeah, Virginia Tech's next. What is this, bro? Shout out to our lads. Virginia Tech. Remember last year when I told you they were Saxburg and they're going to have this amazing team and all of a sudden? If you didn't know, Virginia Tech had an amazing team on paper last year. And then Brent Pry's got to go coach them. And apparently he does less with more. It was very terrible. It was an unfortunate situation. I think I lost a significant amount of money in believing in Virginia Tech. And it's one of those situations where fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, it's over, bro. And that's where we're at. It's over. I don't believe in Virginia Tech like that anymore. So look at Virginia Tech. They got an average score on defensive tackles. Their edge rushers can't be denied. You got to respect them. They're both very good players. We'll talk about that. So Kevin Gilliam first, defensive tackle starting over there. Kevin Gilliam's a 4-star. Oklahoma transfer, 6 starts, 13 games last year. Probably a pretty good player for them, 295. Emmett Laws is behind him. That's a freshman. You got a freshman in your 2 deep. Pretty scary stuff, especially at 293. Played in 2 games last year. He is a former 4-star and DeMatha Catholic product, so I'm sure they're excited about him. Cody, they brought in transfers because they didn't want this freshman in the starting deep. You see that? So you got a freshman in the 2 deep. They go and bring in 2 transfers. Older guys, too, senior and junior. When they need answers, they're going to go to the transfer portal and try to find them. But shout out to Emmett. He beat him out. Good job, Emmett. They brought in Cody here. Let's see what I wrote for Cody. Cody, 6'4", 297. Just another 300-pounder. Straight out of North Dakota State. He's one of the Bison guys. He did start 7 games last year. He played in 15 games. It's decent depth up front. It's decent, but he beat him out, and we probably didn't see that coming. And then Fall is the far transfer over there, the junior. He's a Georgia Southern rotational guy, 6'3", 288. Probably not big enough. You need to be 300 pounds. But he played in every game at Georgia Southern and he even started one for them, if I remember correctly. Kamari Copeland is the next guy, the starter at the right defensive tackle spot. Kamari Copeland was at Army back in 2022. He's extremely strong. He went to Iowa Western after that. He played well, and now he's here. And in 2024, he played in 4 games, missed the rest of the season with an injury. So it's one of these situations where he's got to come back. But listen to me, man. He's really strong. My numbers on him are 650 in the deadlift, 675 squat, and 400 bench press. Pretty good numbers for somebody up front. I just hope he's not injury prone and he's back. If he is injured, they got Hickman, a graduate transfer, Emmanuel Hickman. He is 6'3", 307 pounds. He started at ECU in 2021. He started a whole season. Then he transferred to USF, South Florida. And if you go to South Florida, it's going to be hard to start. They got a lot of depth on their defensive line. South Florida's got meat eaters, bro. They got a whole team over there. So last season, he played in 1 game. He missed the whole year with an injury. I think he's a prime example of just find me another 300-pounder. And then Nash is behind them, number 92. Arias Nash is 6 foot, 278 pounds. He had 9 sacks last season, but most of it wasn't a starter. He's from Mercer. Okay, I don't know if I said that before, but I really want to mention it again. He's just affordable depth. Priester number 72. I think Priester's a lineman. Priester's an offensive lineman. This is wrong by our lads. Priester has been moved to the offensive line, I think. And this is the hard thing to track in the offseason when coaches aren't telling you anything. But I do talk to the players. I do talk to some coaches. The head coaches are busy for the most part. Yeah, Priester's an offensive lineman. I don't know. I just saw Priester up there. I don't have him down here, but I think he's an offensive lineman. Don't misquote me. All right, let's go to the edge rushers. Ben Bell. Ben Bell, they're going to tell me he's a team guy. They're going to tell me he's a team guy. He's a team first guy. So if you don't know the deal, I'm a big advocate for Ben Bell. I think he's a stud. I think he's the real deal. This is an undersized defensive end. He started his career at La Tech, I think. Or was it JUCO and then La Tech? One of the two. And look, man. Last year, Ben Bell had a situation where they never announced he was injured. There was no injury report or anything. But supposedly he was day-to-day with an injury, And he only played 4 games and then he redshirted. When I see players, star players, like Ben Bell's an all-conference star defensive end for Texas State. Bad little white dude. And you quit on your team and you don't play the rest of the year. Were you injured? Okay. Were you healthy? When did you get healthy? What was the injury? Did it happen on the field or at practice? Say something. But I'll tell you what, nobody said anything. Nobody publicly admitted to anything. It was just one of those situations where Ben Bell, the team first guy, just went out there and quit on the team and took the red shirt. Nah. I don't like it, bro. Hell of a player, undersized. I won't be rooting for him, but he's a good player. He's effective. I've been rooting for him for 2 years. I don't like that move. You quit on your teammates just to go make some money. Nah. And I'll tell you this. If I'm comparing this defensive line to what Virginia Tech had last year, it's not in the same ballpark. It's not even close. I don't give a shit who you signed, who you brought in. It's not even close. Not even a little bit. No, man. Last year, they brought in transfers from Duke. They had APR starting on the outside of Florida Trent. Like, they had real dudes. These ain't dudes. Like, these are guys. I like them. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry I went off on that thought process while I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I just don't rock with this dude. Okay? Asen Stevens. Asen Stevens is the backup to Ben Bell. Asen Stevens, not a bad player. What are my notes on Asen Stevens? I don't even see him. 6'5", 251, I know that. Played in every game last year. Not very productive. Not very productive. Just never gets to the football. Not a bad player. Just never gets to the football. Derek Dandy, young man, never got a chance to play. I don't think he's seen the field. Not that I can remember. 6'4", 256. Now let's get to James. James, graduate transfer, number 66. He is the right defensive end. This is a guy who just led Eastern Michigan in tackles. And the reason he led them in tackles, he was a linebacker. But I saw an interview where he said he got a phone call from Coach Pry, and Coach Brent Pry said, hey, you want to come back home? He's from this area. He's from Virginia. You want to come back home and play defensive end for me? And that's just crazy, like, to hear that. Because that means you watched Keyshawn Burgos start 4 games for you. He started 6 games in 2023. Keyshawn Burgos is a senior. He's been there the whole time. He's never redshirted. And you called up another dude and just went like, yo, you want to come start? And change positions. I know you're better than the guy I got right now. Just come change positions. You'll be better than him. That's a cold world, man. That's a cold world. That's like me calling up a girl right now and being like, yo, you want to move in? Kim's outside cutting the grass right now. That's an insane premise, bro. Coaches are grimy. James is special. Hope he does his thing. Burgos is very good depth. Very good player. Keyshawn Burgos is solid depth, if you ask me. And then it's Jason Abbey, right? Yeah. Jason Abbey over here, 6'3", 250. Played in all 13 games. Light rotation, though. Played in all 13 games. Could be special teams. Could be anything. It doesn't matter. Light rotation at defensive end. Shout out to him. And we're to Wake Forest. Sorry for being so long in this episode. The other ones will be much shorter. We'll get to the teams. We'll get to the nitty-gritty of it. Just wanted to teach the public about how we do things and what we do, all right? Wake Forest, underwhelming. You see it there at 7-8. It is what it is. They obviously got a coaching change. Jack Dicker coming in over from Washington State. One thing I want to say, Jake Dicker. One thing I want to say is I went and studied the coaching staff for Wake Forest. They got an assistant head coach. I ain't talking about an offensive coordinator who's an associate head coach, another guy no, they just got a guy. His only position is assistant head coach. It's the same. He brought him over from Washington State. It's just some random dude. I wrote about it on Twitter. I'm like, what is this? Assistant head coach? That's weird, bro. He's in charge of everybody? He's just the guy that advises the head coach. That's my position, bro. That's my position. That's crazy. All right, Wake Forest. Zach Loving. Where's it? No, I'm on Zach Jaden Loving and Zach Lokovican. Good luck with the name there. 6'3", 285, 7 starts last year, 11 games played. He's a returning starter, though, as far as I'm concerned. Number 52 is Dallas Afaleva. Dallas is an Idaho transfer. I know that. He's an Idaho transfer. He's 6'1", 291, 22 games in the last 2 years, or in the first 2 years as a freshman and a sophomore. Heavy rotation both seasons. He's always in the games, rotating in and out. It is hard for me to get tape on all the FCS games. Usually I can see when they play an FBS team, and if I had enough space on the server for the FCS games, we'll get them. They're from ESPN+. We record them. We put them on the server. I have a rated 16-terabyte hard drive. We keep them for 1 year. Some of the FCS games get lost, so it is what it is. FBS games, we keep them all for film study, for what we can do. Shout out to us. And shout out to YouTube TV and ESPN Plus for making that possible. We might have to pay for other things. I don't care what services I have to pay for. It's a business expense. We do it all the time. It's no big deal. In the first 2 years as a freshman, yeah. Brandon Smiley, 6'2", 300 pounds. Go get me a 300-pounder from Elon. Rotational at Elon. 10 offers the first day he hit the portal. Yeah, so I can remember Brandon Smiley hit the portal and got 10 offers as soon as he hit the portal. FBS level offers, because they wanted a 300-pound rotation guy. That's what they do. So he got 10 offers, and then on the first day, and I think he committed to Wake like 8 days later. He was on it. So shout out to Elon. It's a regional thing, right? Jaden Loving over here, transfer. Pretty good. Bethune-Cookman, but he's 6'2", 317. He went to Bethune-Cookman. I say Bethune-Cookman. Well, he went there out of high school, and he played 11 games in 2022. He was in the rotation. productive, doing his thing, and then he went to Western Kentucky. So Jaden Loving looks like a Western Kentucky transfer, but he's really from Bethune-Cookman, if you will. Nonetheless, Western Kentucky, 13 games, 1 start back in 2023, and he was very productive. And then last year, he only played in 5 games, and he was on crutches. I watched him on crutches and some stuff, and I think he took a medical red shirt. That's why he's here now. I think he's good. I like the way he plays. Jaden Loving's always been good every time I watched him, so I'm cool with it. Wyatt Crispy's the backup. What up, Crespi? Wyatt Crespi, excuse me. Crespi, what did I say about Crespi? He's the first De La Salle alum I saw. Shout out to De La Salle. Growing up, De La Salle, obviously, Matt Gutierrez, Kevin Simon, Amani Toomer. Who else was out of De La Salle when I remember as a kid? I grew up in California, Southern California. And Kevin Simon, Matt Gutierrez, obviously Maurice Jones-Drew, Derek Landry. There's a lot of guys that I remember that were pretty good. There was even a Callan, another dude named Callan. There's all these players from De La Salle that would go to the next level. In looking at 2 deeps, 3 deeps, all across America on the defensive line and the offensive line, this is the first De La Salle alumni I've come across. That's crazy, right? Shout out to him. The first De La Salle I've come across, Wyatt Crespi. He's been at Wake Forest for 5 years. He's just not starting caliber and light in the rotation. He had under 100 snaps last year. That is very light in the rotation. Mateen something. I beg your pardon. Georgetown transfer. How many of you guys knew that it was a Georgetown transfer, that there was a Georgetown football team? Yeah, shout out to the Hoyas. He's a Georgetown transfer, 6'3", 300 pounds. Got 32 snaps last season, 1 tackle. Not all 300-pounders are equal, like I said. BJ Williams up top. What up, BJ? What's up with my BJ, bro? What up with my BJ? Pause. Shout out to my BJ up there. Red shirt senior, number 18, 6'4", 275. He's from the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. He's from Johnson, South Carolina. I know where this is. I drove through. I think it's the peach capital of everything. If you guys thought the peach state was Georgia, go to South Carolina. There's some spots where there's a bunch of peaches. And I think it's Johnston. I used to drive through there on my way to Spartanburg. I was house hunting, and Spartanburg's pretty cheap. They tell you it's a lot of crime, but I found beautiful homes out there. Did not purchase the houses in Spartanburg. Don't want to tell you where I purchased my current home. But I am going to tell you that I drove through Johnston at some point, and that place is nothing. It might have a Bojangles. Some places have no stop signs, no red lights. I got it. This place it does have a city of some sort. He's from nowhere, bro. Shout out to him. He got to be 6'4", 273. Biggest dude in town, I'm sure. Started every game last season. He doesn't get to the ball enough for me. And then we have this Get Kuth. Newer Get Kuth. If it looks like a crazy name, it's because it's straight out of Africa, bro. I'm not even joking. 6'2", 237, Colorado State transfer. If you remember him at Colorado State, he was a freshman All-American back in 2023. He was amazing. He just needs to gain weight, man. You heard me. He's 6'3", 237. He needs to get a little bigger, stronger to be more effective. And I don't know what happened. Because you go from 53 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. You go from being very productive to nothing last year. Last year he played in 7 games and wasn't the starter. I think he needs like 15 pounds of muscle. It's crazy. Gaktu, not that's it. But he's here and he's a baller. Colorado State. He can play football. I've seen it. He needs to get bigger. And you're coming out here to be the rotation guy with the returning starter. And BJ much bigger, stronger. It's a different caliber of football out here. Let's figure it out. And then do we have Lee on here? Did I put anything for Carrington Lee? I don't know if I even knew Lee would be here. Carrington Lee, yeah, I have him. High school tape is elite. 10 games last year. Oh, Clemson game, he looked like he belonged here. That's what I wrote. Good depth for Wake Forest. Carrington Lee, in the Clemson game, he looks like he belongs. I love his huddle tape. He's 6'4", 252. If I tell you I love a guy's huddle tape and he's not in the starting lineup, that's how coaches get fired. I'm telling you who the better player is. Coaches are getting it wrong. And that's how they get fired. And every time I do that, the coach gets fired within the next 1 or 2 years. And I was right. And then that player becomes somebody, or he transfers and becomes somebody. Happens all the time. It's not any different here. Now, they got a new coach, just showed up. I hope they figure it out and he gets a shot. But that kid looks like the future to me. Carrington Lee looks like a player. Period. Trust. I do this. Trust. Nonetheless, that's 3 good players at Wake that you just heard me talk about. That's 3 good players on that left side, but nobody's a superstar. Nobody's a superstar. They just look like 3 good players. Gabe Kirsch, number 10 over there on the other side, started his career at Wisconsin. He didn't play too much, but he's big like them Wisconsin kids. He's 6'5", 250. Then he transferred to Colorado State, another Colorado State guy. He started 13 games there, played great, 6.5 sacks, and now he's here. So that's 2 Colorado State transfers, Gak Kruth, and Gabe Kirschke. And I don't have a clue what connection on the staff who on the staff has any connection to Colorado State. I don't know, but they got 2 Colorado State guys, and they have the potential to be pretty decent. Let's figure that out. Let's get after it. Who's the next guy? Langston Hardy. Is that a country singer? I don't know who that is. Langston Hardy, 6'4", 250, UConn transfer. Oh, yeah, he had a big year at UConn last year. He played good last year. Last year he was good at UConn. Now he's in here as a depth guy. That's cool. Be in the rotation. Go get it, man. Tyler Walton, North Gwinnett product. What up, Georgia? North Gwinnett in the house, 6'5", 265. I already know this man. He's not playing much yet, but I rock with him. I rock with these teams. I really like the Wake Forest guys, but they just come across as ho-hum. All right, so that's the ACC in a nutshell. I hope you learned about the ACC. We'll be doing another episode right after this. It won't be a live stream like this. I'm going to make it private. It'll be for MVPs. On YouTube, if you're watching this, all you have to do is hit join the channel, select being a minion. There's different ways you can do this. I'm going to see if it pops up for me. Yeah, there you go. Look, I'll show you. I'm going to drag it into the screen like this. So this is the show. You click join, and it'll give you all these options. Minion, Roughneck, or MVP. MVP means you get access to everything. That's going to be all the UFC videos, all that other stuff. That's fine. But if you just want to see the podcast, all you got to do is do Minions. That's it. Do Minions, and you'll be straight. All right? So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for believing in me. Shout out to all the MVPs. And remember, I don't have my outro. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.
Scrolling on my phone, seeing what Rico knows, seeing what he know about the UFC and college football.